Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto trains by Chunin Sensei and Sasuke and Sakura bashing part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. 12 years ago. Once, there was a giant fox with 9 tails. A single flick of one of those massive tails could cleave a mountain in half and cause a tsunami. This fox was feared by mortals as the embodiment of destruction, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, king of the demons. For reasons unknown, the Kyuubi had set its sights on a hidden shinobi village that was still recovering from a war with another, the village hidden in the leaves, Konoha. The death toll was catastrophic, and it was rising with every passing second. Men and women had blood pouring down their faces, arms, legs and bodies as they tried desperately to give their one hope of survival a chance to finish what he claimed was the ultimate weapon. People screamed out as they burst into flames, were cut in half or just fell to the ground lifeless. There were shouts from the shinobi, many of which were things like, "Hold it off until the yandame gets here." At that point, there was a huge flash and a puff of smoke, and when it cleared, there was the king of frogs in all his glory with a soul figure atop his head, his white coat waving in the wind. Now, every single being on the battlefield had stopped, including the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Just as the Kyuubi turned to what looked to be a half-decent challenge, he was aware of an almighty presence behind the man atop the frog's head, one that even made him wary. One who should not be here. Kyuubi's eyes narrowed. Shinigami. A bright flash of blinding white light emanated the man atop Gamabunta's head, and Kyuubi could feel it. His soul was being wrenched from his body. As the soul finally left, the husk of the Kyuubi fell to the ground lifeless. Elsewhere in Konoha, 3 males of different generations, one who was going bald with gray hair from old age, a slightly younger man with long white hair and red facial markings, as well as a teenager who had a shock of silver hair wearing a face mask, were watching as they saw a child with blonde hair who had just been born cry out in agony as an intricate seal appeared on his navel, along with 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek. Back at the battlefield, the ninjas started cheering until they saw their fable leader, the yellow flash of Konoha, drop lifeless off Gamabunta's head, watching in horror as he slammed into the ground, Gamabunta puffing out of existence, his summoner no longer able to tie his existence to this world. Yandame had killed the king of demons at the cost of his life. Today, the 10th of October, would be a day remembered for all history. The day the world's strongest man sacrificed his life for his village. 4 years later. It was the 10th of October, 4 years after Yandame had died. Today, the majority of the village had an air of grieving hanging over it. However, at regular intervals, if one was nearby, an area of the village would erupt in severe hatred. If the observer was closer, they could see that a 4-year-old child was the cause of this rise in hatred and anger. Said boy could be seen running for his life, bleeding profusely, covered in grime, and a look of pure fear plastered over his face. He still did not understand. From the limited amount of information he was able to find out, a person's birthday was supposed to be one of the happiest days of the year. His birthdays meant nothing but pain, torture, fear, and generally getting thrashed within an inch of his life. Today was no different from the last 3. Normally, the villagers just glared at him, restraining from any obvious signs of physical assault. However, every year on October 10th, they let go of their anger and beat him practically to death, screaming things like revenge, "Kill him now," and the like. Luckily, the past 3 years, he was saved by an old man in white robes who everyone seemed to respect. This year was different. That man hadn't arrived, and Naruto would not hold out much longer. He'd been running for hours, a highly commendable feat for someone his age. Right now, the only thought on his mind was, "This is it, I can't go on." His pursuers noticed instantly when the boy stumbled and ran blindly down a side alley. The pack smiled as they saw the boy crawling up against the far wall. It was a dead end. Today, they would finally get their revenge against the demon. They proceeded forward and began laying into the child, kicking, punching, and hitting him with implements. The boy was dead, and everyone knew it. Not too far by, one of Konoha's most famous jounin was just coming back from his mission, hoping to enjoy the festival, when he sensed a massive amount of hatred nearby from a large group of people. He stopped on a roof and saw that there were people laughing manically, shouts of things like demon and other rather unusual sounds. The jounin narrowed his one visible eye when he picked up another sound. The sound of a child sobbing. The sound was extremely faint, but it was coming from the group. The silver-haired jounin jumped down from the roof and walked up to the crowd, raising his voice so they could all hear him. "What exactly is going on here?" The group stopped and turned to him smiling. "We're finally getting our revenge on the demon. Kakashi-san, Yandame-sama was your sensei, why don't you finish off what he started?" Kakashi's eyes narrowed before he realized who the child was. He quivered in barely suppressed rage as the people moved out of the way, making a path for him until he saw what he confirmed as the worst possible situation he had feared. The child was lying in a fetal position against the wall, barely clinging on to life. Kakashi noticed the shock of blonde spikes, blood pouring from extremely deep wounds and 3 telltale whisker marks on each cheek. He ran to the boy, checking his vitals, seeing he was alive, if only by the skin of his teeth. He got up and released such a large amount of killing intent at the mob that the majority of them fell to their knees, bringing up the food they had consumed at the festival. Kakashi had already revealed his Sharingan, and couldn't take it anymore. What the hell do you think you pieces of trash were doing? He's a 4-year-old human child for Kami-sama's sakes. Are you so cowardly that you, full-grown men, both civilian and ninja, had to form a mob to do this? Get out of my way now before I have Hokage-sama execute all of you for treason of the highest order. The few men that were in Kakashi's way managed to crawl out of the way. Kakashi turned back and picked the child up, who prepared for the final blow from his assailant, but it never came. Naruto managed to open a blood-splattered eyelid a crack to see that it was not the old man who saved him, but a man with silver hair and a mask. Kakashi felt the child stir slightly and looked at him, his visible face contort with worry. Naruto? If you can hear me, hang in there. I'm getting you to the hospital. Naruto nodded ever so slightly, and closed his eyes. He didn't know who this man was, nor at the moment did he care. He had found the second person who actually cared about him. Little did he know, soon enough, he was going to find a whole group of people who he would soon grow to care for. About an hour later, Kakashi had dropped Naruto off at the hospital and had to force the staff to take care of him with threats. The staff knew that Hatake Kakashi never made an empty threat, so they quickly got to work. Kakashi, in the meantime, stormed up to the Hokage's tower. He wanted to know things. And if anyone got in his way, so help them Kami, they were as good as dead. He met the Anbu at the door, who made to block him, but he glared at them. Get out of my way. Now. Unfortunately for these two, the man standing in front of them, while off duty, was still their superior officer. They stepped aside and Kakashi slammed the Hokage's office door open so forcefully that the hinges were barely holding the door up. The Hokage looked up from his desk at the fuming Kakashi. From his experience, few things made the normally cyclopean Jounin this angry. Kakashi stared at the old man. I think you had better explain yourself. You told me 4 years ago that Naruto died from the Kyuubi's influence after the sealing. Do you know what I just found? I found Naruto beaten to within an inch of his life by a mob of civilians and ninja. Start talking, old man. The Hokage's secretary was shocked. No one had ever talked to her superior like this before. The man didn't even call him Hokage, let alone Hokage-sama. Sarutobi sighed, taking a drag of his pipe and massaging his temples. This was going to be a long day. 2 weeks later, Naruto had been discharged from hospital, and he started walking forlornly back to the orphanage. He really didn't want to go back, but he had no home. As he walked out into the bright mid-morning sunlight, he saw a figure leaning against a post, looking directly at him. Naruto flinched until he realized who it was. His eyes widened as the figure continued looking at him in a semi-lazy expression. One he would come to adopt himself. Hey, aren't you that guy who saved me? The figure got up and walked over to Naruto, bending down to put his face level with Naruto's. Naruto was unsure about what to do. Not even the old man Hokage bent down to talk to him unless he hugged him. Naruto saw that the teen, Kakashi was 18 at this time, had covered his left eye with his hitate. However, his visible right eye was crinkled in what most would associate with a warm smile. Kakashi looked at Naruto lazily. That's me. How are you feeling, Naruto? Naruto wasn't sure if this was some kind of trick or not, and he was scared of him slightly. Kakashi sighed and shook his head. It's been that bad, huh? Naruto looked at him questioningly. What's been bad? Kakashi looked back at him, a rather saddened look on his face as he stared at Naruto. Naruto had learned what the majority of body language meant out of necessity. A few people had tried to be nice to him before to lure him in before they tried to make him disappear. Naruto saw that this wasn't just sadness. It was a mixture of things. Sadness, pain, and most of all, regret. The man looked up at him. I meant that your life's been painful, hasn't it? Naruto nodded slowly as Kakashi put a hand on his shoulder. When Naruto flinched, he took his hand away. Sorry, I didn't mean to. No, it's okay. It's just an automatic reflex? Naruto raised an eyebrow at the man. He'd never heard of these automatic reflex things. He was only 4, after all. Kakashi sighed deeply. An automatic reflex is something you do without thinking. For example, if someone threw a punch at you, you would most likely throw your hands up to block without thinking, right? Naruto nodded. That's an automatic reflex. Naruto thought about it. It made sense. Naruto nodded again. Yeah, it was. Kakashi sighed and stood up. So, where are you off to, Naruto? Naruto looked up at him. I'm going back to the orphanage. Kakashi looked at the boy. He was still in the orphanage? No one had adopted him yet? Once Kakashi remembered how he found Naruto, it actually wasn't really surprising. Kakashi watched as Naruto looked at him. Ano, thanks for saving me, mister. Kakashi smiled at him. It's Kakashi, Naruto. I'll be seeing you around, okay? If you need anything, just ask the old man. Naruto nodded and began walking off in a daze towards the orphanage, having no idea that Kakashi was secretly trailing him. When Naruto walked up to the front door, Kakashi was shocked when he saw a group of boys slightly older than Naruto saw him, and made their way over to him, starting to push him around. Kakashi frowned at this. One of the boys kneed Naruto in the stomach as Naruto fell to the ground, and the boys sneered at him. Kakashi was about to go help him when a matron came out, seeing the boys covered in mud, scrapes and bruises. The matron looked at them. What on earth happened? The boys looked up at the matron, fake hurt plastered all over their faces. He came over and started pushing us around while we were minding our own business. Kakashi smirked. Surely they couldn't get away with. I should have known he would do something like that. The four of you get inside and go wash yourselves. As for you. She stared at Naruto. What do you think you're doing? The boys did nothing to you. No lunch for you. Now get inside. Kakashi frowned. The boys had been playing a game with a ball in the mud, and their appearance was their own fault. Naruto had done absolutely nothing to the boys, yet he was blamed as if it was an everyday occurrence. Kakashi wasn't going to tolerate this. He moved to the Hokage's office with a personal request that he would not take no for an answer to. Next day. Naruto was woken up early by a wooden cooking spoon being slammed over his head. He shot up, staring at the matron, who glared at him. I don't know why anyone would, but you've been adopted. Get your things and get out. Naruto paused for a minute, trying to process the sentence. Adopted? The matron sneered. That's what I said. Now get moving! Naruto jumped out of bed, packing the few clothes he had. All of his possessions that he ever had were quickly confiscated. Once Naruto had dressed and packed his only other set of clothes, he walked past everyone to the front desk, to see who had adopted him. When he saw who it was, he was floored. It was the masked man. Naruto's mouth dropped open as Kakashi held up a hand lazily, crinkling his one visible eye in a smile. Yo! Naruto's clothes dropped to the floor as Kakashi continued smiling. Naruto was in shock. Not only had he been adopted, but it was by the man that saved him. Kakashi's eyebrow raised as he saw Naruto's reaction before his visible eye once again crinkled into a smile. Naruto slowly picked up his things, begging, hoping for this to be real. Kakashi led Naruto out the door and down the streets to an apartment complex. Kakashi led Naruto into the front door and up 3 flights of stairs to a door. Kakashi stopped at the first door out of the stairwell that had the numbers 301 on it. Kakashi fished a key out of his pocket with practiced ease and opened the door in one swift motion. Naruto looked around at his new home. It was fairly devoid of colors for a home. The furniture was mostly washed-out maroons, browns and whites. However, it still somehow retained a feeling of warmth to it. Kakashi closed the door behind him and went into the kitchen. Kakashi came back out a few minutes later to see Naruto still standing at the door, a large amount of uncertainty in his actions. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Are you going to keep standing there? This is your home too now. Naruto looked up at Kakashi, tears forming in his eyes. Kakashi smiled as Naruto charged at him and latched onto his leg. Thank you, Kakashi-san. Kakashi just smiled at the mass of blonde hair that had found a nice place to attach itself to on his leg. No problem, Naruto. Let's get you to your room. Kakashi led Naruto to what appeared to be a spare bedroom. After Kakashi had insisted Naruto take a shower, they shared a small breakfast before Kakashi looked up at the clock on the wall, and then back at Naruto, specifically, his clothes. Naruto, we really need to get you some new clothes. How about we go and get some? Naruto waited for a moment before nodding slowly, and Kakashi smiled one of his lazy smiles that the majority of people found highly irritating, but Naruto considered very cool. Kakashi led Naruto out of the apartment, down the stairs and out into the morning sunlight. Kakashi led Naruto down the streets, acutely aware of the people glaring hatefully at Naruto, and then at Kakashi when Naruto clung to him. Kakashi stared coolly at them, almost daring them to say something or make a move against him or Naruto. Once Kakashi got to a clothing shop, he opened the door and walked in, followed close behind by Naruto. The woman behind the counter smiled at Kakashi, but then glared at Naruto, who tried to ignore her when Kakashi spoke up. "Is there a reason you're staring at the boy I've adopted like that?" The lady glanced at Kakashi in confusion, looked back at Naruto then, at Kakashi again, muttering something under her breath. Kakashi smiled his irritatingly lazy smile, but Naruto detected there was something else to this smile. "I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Could you repeat that, please?" The lady looked up and without thinking began to say what she had mumbled. "I said who would adopt that filthy?" She didn't get to finish as she found that Kakashi was nowhere to be seen. Naruto was staring wide-eyed at a spot just over her right shoulder when she heard a sweet voice laced with copious amounts of venom. "I agree, he is rather filthy at the moment, which is why I'm shopping for new clothes for him. However, I know you were going to add something rather unpleasant to it. Remember the rule?" The lady nodded slowly as Kakashi smiled and reappeared at Naruto's side, motioning him out. "I'm sure there will be other stores that will be more than happy to serve us without me having to do something similar. Naruto, let's go." Naruto nodded dumbly and followed Kakashi to another store. When Kakashi pushed the door open, the man behind the counter smiled. "Kakashi-san. Long time no see. What's been happening?" Kakashi smiled lazily at the man. This is normally where Kakashi came to buy his ninja attire. "Yo! I need some gear." The man laughed, still not having noticed Naruto behind Kakashi. "Well, take a look around. Looking for anything in particular?" Kakashi hummed as he looked at a nondescript section of the ceiling, before smiling and putting a hand on Naruto's shoulder. "I'm looking for some clothes for my friend here." The man looked at Naruto and his eyes widened, but not in hate but surprise. The man stared at Kakashi. "Kakashi, is this Naruto?" "Yeah, it is." Naruto looked at the man, waiting to see his reaction. The man stared at Kakashi before looking at Naruto, shaking his head. "Man, I heard you died on the day you were born. Well, the fact you're actually alive is a shock, to say the least. Don't worry, Naruto. From what Kakashi has told me, I can tell you're not what the others make you out to be. Hell, I think you're a better person than the majority of people in this village. If you ever need clothing or anything, just come here, alright?" Naruto was shocked. There were people who would treat him nicely. Hell, this guy was even treating him with respect. Kakashi smiled as the guy got out from behind the counter and rubbed his hands together. "Well, are we looking for anything in particular?" Kakashi hummed again before smiling. "Let's see what Naruto wants." Naruto didn't get it. Why were some people being so nice to him? He was never given a choice in anything before. It was a very foreign concept to him. When Kakashi nodded, Naruto started looking through the racks of clothes. Kakashi came beside him and helped him, giving him advice on what to choose. Naruto eventually, with rather subtle persuasion, settled for a skin-tight black long-sleeved shirt, full-length black pants and several other things, such as a ninja utility belt where he could attach all manner of items onto, as well as several pairs of boxer shorts, and some black ninja sandals. Kakashi insisted he get at least 2 pairs of everything but the sandals and belt, so Naruto reluctantly agreed. With these items purchased, they went back to the flat, where Naruto watched as Kakashi chucked his old clothes into the bin and smiled at Naruto's gob-smacked expression. "You're not wearing those anymore. They're not even clothes." Kakashi got Naruto settled in and made lunch for the two of them. Nearly 1 year later. Today was October 10th, Naruto's birthday. In the past year, Naruto had stopped being so shy and had taken an instant liking to Kakashi. He literally took Kakashi on as a role model, thinking Kakashi was the coolest thing since sliced bread. Naruto woke up, remembering what day it was, and tried to make the world swallow him up. He may have been with Kakashi for practically a year, but he had still not had a birthday with him, so he was still slightly fearful. After about 5 minutes, Kakashi came in after knocking on the door. "Rise and shine, Ototo." That was another cool thing. Kakashi didn't lord it over Naruto like he'd heard several people said their fathers did to them. He treated Naruto more as a younger brother, with the best parts of what Naruto guessed were paternal instincts thrown into the mix. Kakashi noticed that Naruto had waved a fear rolling off him. "Something wrong, Naruto?" Naruto let out a tiny squeak and Kakashi realized what was wrong. Still worried that what happened the last 4 times will happen again. The fear increased, indicating that was exactly what Naruto was worried about. Kakashi smiled. Don't be. While you're here, no one's going to chase you except if we decide to play a game of tag. Naruto's fear stopped and Naruto froze for a second. Kakashi was slowly training Naruto to be a ninja. Kakashi had played games with Naruto that were actually designed to help him improve his senses and all-around basic skills. Tag was one of them. Kakashi would always start as it, while Naruto would go and hide, learning quickly how to keep him hidden, as well as figuring out ways of creeping to avoid detection. These skills would prove to be absolutely invaluable when Naruto became a ninja for when he needed to use stealth to avoid detection by enemy ninjas. Kakashi was mildly surprised at the knack Naruto had for it. Naruto quickly figured out that staying in one place for the entire game was a very bad idea. He saw that Kakashi used a methodical searching pattern that would find him sooner or later. Naruto had figured out that it was best to wait until Kakashi had done a large section of the battlefield first before he moved to an area Kakashi had already covered by sneaking around him when he was patrolling one of the far streets away from where he was. Another one that Kakashi played with Naruto was Shugi. After being taught the basic rules of it, and getting a very raw idea about the amount of strategizing that needed to be put into the game when playing a good player, which Kakashi proved to be surprisingly adept at, Naruto became a player with standard ability. Naruto slowly took a peek out from under the sheet of his futon and saw that Kakashi was smiling with his hands behind his back. Naruto's danger sense told him that Kakashi had something behind his back, so he hid again, much to Kakashi's surprise, until he realized how his hands were positioned. Sorry, Naruto, I forgot how adept you were at ready body language at your age. I don't have a weapon in my hands. I'll leave what I have in my hands here for you. Kakashi slowly walked forward and placed the objects on the ground and stepped back. Naruto slowly took a peek again, and what he saw dumbfounded him. It was several brightly wrapped packages with a card on top. Naruto very slowly pulled the covers up a bit more and saw Kakashi smiling at him with a genuine smile. Happy birthday, Naruto. Naruto stopped, his brain trying to process the words. Happy birthday? Kakashi looked to see Naruto was looking at him, in a desperate, pleading look that practically shattered his heart. Yeah, happy birthday. Forget about the past, Naruto, look towards the future. People who are stuck in the past will never be able to see what is in front of them, and they will miss many golden opportunities. Naruto couldn't take it anymore. The tears he had been holding back for 5 years came unbidden as Naruto jumped out of bed and tackled Kakashi to the ground, sobbing into his chest. Kakashi just smiled as he hugged Naruto. Thanks, Aniki. No problem, Naruto. Naruto's tears came for another half an hour, until the heaving of Naruto's small chest finally slowed to a stop. Naruto slowly pulled himself off Kakashi and smiled sheepishly, while Kakashi's eye crinkled. Kakashi got up and pointed to the presents. Go on, open them. Naruto went to the presents and looked at the card, which had to Naruto scrawled on the front. Naruto opened the card to see that not just Kakashi, but several others had signed it too. Naruto looked over each of the messages. Naruto read each of the messages. Naruto-kun, your fiery passion of youth burns brightly. Use my gift to enjoy the springtime of youth to the fullest. Meito Guy. So, you're 5 now, and Naruto? From the times I've seen you, you look like you'll grow up to be a great man. If you ever need a Shugi partner or some lessons in armed hand-to-hand combat, come and see me. Sarutobi Asuma. The next one was one he was not expecting. At least, not in the form it was. Happy 5th birthday, Naruto. You're growing up fast. When you get older, make sure you don't let Kakashi turn you into a pervert, or I'll personally nail him up to a post and make him watch as I burn all of those little orange books of his. Yuhi Kurenai. Happy 5th birthday, Oturo. I know how much you idolize me, so I decided to get you a special something dash. The ink here looked kind of smudged, kind of like Kakashi had been moved forcefully while writing, as if someone had hit him over the head. Naruto continued reading. Despite the fact that Kurenai thinks it's one of those little orange books, I'm actually going to give you something better. Happy birthday, Naruto. Naruto looked at the card, his chest swelling in happiness. He had only met each of the others several times, but they, like Kakashi had said would be, were nice people. Naruto had taken an instant liking to Kurenai. Even though Naruto had heard that she was Konoha's ice queen, she seemed pretty normal to him. Kurenai actually thought he was rather cute to use the word she had used. Naruto had to agree with Kakashi that guy was weird, but Asuma was a cool guy. The fact that they had sent him birthday presents caused the feeling in his chest to swell to the point it hurt. Naruto reached forward to a particular present that was wrapped in green and orange. Take a guess whose that is. Naruto pulled off the paper to reveal a pair of odd objects that looked like they had layers of lightweight metal formed in ridges and two straps coming down off each one. In the bottom of the box was a pair of similar looking ones that were shaped slightly differently, but apart from that were the same. They weighed about as much as a pair of full soft drink cans each. Naruto looked up to see Kakashi smirking. Training weights. Naruto nodded and put them down gently as he went for the next gift, which was wrapped in black and white stripped paper. Naruto took the paper off to reveal a book titled Shugi and You, a General Introductory Guide. Naruto had seriously wanted to get a book that taught him the basics of the game. Naruto had sort of gotten the hint that Shugi was originally more than just a board game that old geezers played to pass the time. Naruto put the book down and went to open a box wrapped in scarlet red paper to see a book that he had not expected to get. Ninjas for Dummies, a crash course introduction to the basics of being a ninja. Naruto was secretly aspiring to be a ninja like his Aniki, which Kakashi very easily picked up on, but kept silent about it. Now there was one present left. Kakashi's. Naruto reached towards the silver wrapping. Naruto undid it slowly to reveal a piece of cloth. When he pulled it out of the wrapping paper, he realized what it was. It was a face mask. Naruto's eyes widened and he looked at Kakashi, who was smiling. Naruto got up and hugged Kakashi while smiling. Thanks, Kakashi-san, this is the best day ever. Kakashi smiled as he saw Naruto look over his presents. Put the mask on. Naruto looked at Kakashi, then the mask in his hand before his grin widened and he put the mask on, looking back at Kakashi, his eyes closed in a smile that reminded Kakashi so much of his younger self. The rest of the day was very easily the single most fun day Naruto had ever had. This was something that he was always going to remember. 3 months later. Naruto had read both books he got for his birthday thoroughly. Kakashi had even taken Naruto to each of his friends for some slight introduction into each person's specialty. Kakashi had broached the subject to his friends the day after Naruto's birthday, and when they saw Naruto, they smiled. Asuma made a wisecrack as per usual. So, Kakashi, how far have you gotten Naruto into the Ika series? Naruto and Kakashi raised an eyebrow at Asuma while Kurenai smacked him over the head, causing Kakashi to smile and sit down with them. After some small talk, Kakashi introduced the idea of training Naruto in the bare basics of each area. The others shrugged. Teaching him the general basics of chakra control, one jutsu each, or in Asuma's and Gai's case, teaching Naruto how to throw shuriken and kunai, as well as some basic taijutsu moves wasn't all that bad of an idea. Naruto was really happy. Some people were finally seeing that Naruto wasn't a demon incarnate, but someone worth training. Naruto learned a basic part of each area, such as Kawarimi no Jutsu, Henji no Jutsu, and some basic taijutsu moves, as well as shuriken and kunai practice. All of Naruto's senseis were shocked at how quickly Naruto picked each part up. Within a month, he had mastered both Kawarimi and Henji, as well as having a decent amount of skill in throwing weapons, and his ability to learn taijutsu was beyond what Asuma and Gai had expected. All 3 Jounins and 1 Chunin. Kurenai was still Chunin at this point in time, decided to teach him some slightly more advanced things. Kakashi could see that Naruto's chakra capacity was already that of an upper-level genin, but his chakra control suffered directly because of it. Kakashi introduced Naruto to the idea of walking up trees with only his feet. Naruto had been dubious at first until Kakashi did it like it was the most normal thing in the world. Kakashi had gone over the mechanics of how it worked until Naruto decided to give it a try. Naruto had made it about halfway up the 50 or so meter tall tree before the bark cracked and repelled him off it. After about 3 or 4 goes, Naruto had made it to the top, with a very impressed Kakashi standing at the base. The training that the Jounins and Chunin administered on Naruto gradually got tougher as the months went by. Gai had showed Naruto that the training weights he wore could have their weights adjusted to whatever weight Naruto wanted by pumping an appropriate amount of chakra into them. Naruto experimented, pumping just a small amount of chakra into the forearm guards, which increased the weight by a small amount. Gai told Naruto, taking out the flaming passion of youth stuff, that he should wear the weights at all times except for when he showered and slept, and every time he felt his body become used to the weight, to increase it. Gai had told Naruto that this would increase not only his youthfulness, but would even make him into a great example to all people who were enjoying the springtime of youth. Kakashi translated this into an increase in agility, speed and strength and stamina capacity. 1 year later. After the first year of training, Kakashi had given Naruto 5 pieces of paper, telling him to channel chakra into each piece. When Naruto got to the second piece, the paper burst into flames, much to Naruto's dismay. Kakashi had smiled and motioned Naruto to keep going. The next piece of paper that reacted to Naruto crumpled, and Naruto moved on to the last card, where the card reacted again, being sliced cleanly in half. Kakashi shook his head in pure disbelief. Naruto, you have 3 elemental affinities already. The 3 main types of elemental jutsus that would be best suited to you would be Katon, Raiton, and Futon. Naruto nodded in understanding, having already learned about each of the 5 major elements, and the basic theories of major elemental combinations to make sub-elements. A few were known, such as Mokuton and Hayaton. However, from the elemental affinities that Naruto had, there were no known sub-elements he could think of. Kakashi had begun teaching Naruto a basic Katon jutsu called Katon, Housenka no Jutsu. Naruto had learned it surprisingly quickly, and at the end of the day, Kakashi gave Naruto the next day off to do what he wanted as long as he came back at dinner time. Next day, Naruto was walking down the streets, just looking around at everything in general. Naruto had, at Kakashi's suggestion, started growing his hair a bit longer. By now, Naruto had something that was halfway between a miniature mullet and frullet combo. A frullet, as its name might suggest, is a mullet but at the front, and a mop makes you look like exactly that. A mop. However, Naruto had tied this back in a small ponytail. Naruto was still wearing all black, as well as his utility belt, shins/forearm guards, and ninja sandals. Naruto heard kids shouting in the distance, so he went to check. When he got there, he saw a group of kids pretty much his own age having a rather heated argument. Naruto went up to them. "What's wrong, guys?" Everyone turned to the new arrival with a lazy look in his eyes. "We're trying to play ninja." Naruto's eyebrow rose. His curiosity was being sucked in. "Ninja? What exactly do you do in this?" The other kids gave an "yeah," but one explained it to him. "Well, you divide the people playing up evenly, and both teams have to hide. The first team to lose all of its players loses the game." Naruto nodded slowly. "And how does a team lose a member?" The kid that started talking to him continued. It seemed he was the leader of the group. "Well, when one person tags another team's member, that person who got tagged is out of the game." Naruto nodded. "So it's basically team tag?" They nodded. "Alright, so what's the problem?" The kids all looked at one particular boy who was rather large, which Naruto vaguely recognized to be from one of the middle clans of Konoha. "The team that gets this guy automatically loses. We have an uneven number if he plays." "Why does the team that gets him automatically lose?" The boys smirked. "He has no idea how to hide at all. He also is too slow, and he gives his position away when he moves." Naruto looked at the boy in question. "You're an Akimichi, right?" The boy's eyes widened as he nodded. Naruto turned back to the other boys. "According to your rules, yes, whichever team he would be on would lose. However, this is nothing more than a game of team tag. If it really were a game of ninja, once one of the other team's members has been spotted, you would have to not just tag them, but force them to submit. What do you think would happen in the real world if you ambushed another ninja, jumped out, and tagged them? They'd laugh at you and kill you. If you added a second rule that forced the other team to make your members submit by force, then you could call it ninja. If that rule was added, I'd be willing to say whichever team had him would be guaranteed victory." They all looked at this kid in shock. One of the kids smirked. "Why would the team win?" "Because the Akimichi aren't known for their stealth. They're known for their power. I'd say that boy would have about 10 times as much chakra as most of you. Once you had an opposing team member cornered, he could literally kick them to the other side of Konoha." The boys looked at this new kid in fascination. He was smart, no doubt about that. Naruto turned to the Akimichi, who looked on the verge of tears. Naruto looked back at the others, deciding that a reciting of a line from his Aniki would suit the situation. "Never underestimate an opponent. There are no weak soldiers under a strong commander." Naruto turned to keep going. Little did he know that the situation was being watched by quite a number of people apart from the boys that were involved in it, and were quite impressed by the boy's level of knowledge for a 6-year-old. Naruto started walking up towards a stairwell that led to the top of a building that he sometimes liked to look out over Konoha from. He heard footsteps from behind him and saw the Akimichi and another boy running up to him. Naruto turned to them as they came up to him, smiling. The Akimichi talked first. "Thanks for that. Those boys are always telling me I'm fat, or I'm slow." Naruto shrugged. "I think they have no idea about what they're talking about. By the way, I never got your name." The boy smiled. "Chuji. Akimichi Chuji." Naruto turned to the other boy. "I saw you there too. Could I get your name?" The boy nodded. Shikamaru of the Nara clan. Naruto nodded and extended a hand forward. Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. Both boys shook his hand and they continued walking up the last of the stairs to see a much larger man with a huge mane of red hair sitting on the bench. The man turned to them and smiled. Chuji, Shikamaru. Who's this young man you've brought with you? Chuji smiled. Hey Dad. Well, this is Uzumaki Naruto. He just came and defended me against those kids that always call me fat. The man looked to Naruto before smiling. Thank you for that, Naruto. I happened to hear the entire conversation. You're very intelligent for a 6-year-old. Naruto smiled at him. Thank you? But what I said was just the truth. Akimichi specialize in power, not speed from what I've read. Also, calling that game ninja was a stupid idea. The man chuckled. Your logic was completely sound, there's no need to justify it. Chuji sat next to his dad, while Naruto took a spot next to Chuji and Shikamaru took a spot next to Naruto. Naruto's stomach growled as he smiled sheepishly, scratching the back of his head. I wouldn't be able to get. Chuji smiled and pulled out a bag of potato chips, breaking the seal and letting Naruto pick the chips out of the bag. Naruto took a few while Chuji offered some to Shikamaru, and they all started munching on them. Chuji turned to Naruto. Naruto, I haven't seen you around before. Are you new to this village? Naruto shook his head. I was born here. Until the age of 4, I lived in an orphanage. A few weeks after I turned 4, someone adopted me. He's really cool. His name is Kakashi. Chuji's father turned to Naruto in interest. Kakashi? As in Hatake Kakashi? Naruto nodded. That's him. He's a really nice guy. I've met a bunch of his friends, but I don't have any my own age. Naruto looked down to the ground, rather saddened by the fact. Chuji smiled at him. Want to be my friend? Naruto looked up at him happily. Really? Chuji nodded and Naruto smiled. Sounds like fun. Shikamaru smiled as well. Well, if Chuji's going to be your friend, then I might as well too. Naruto couldn't get much happier. He smiled at Shikamaru and the boys continued to eat chips and chat with their new friends well into the afternoon. Several months later, Naruto had become fast friends with both Shikamaru and Chuji, quickly finding out that Shikamaru was a very good shugi player. Naruto's relationship with his senseis had also come along dramatically. Especially Kurenai. Most of the others noticed that Kurenai was starting to melt as they called it, which usually earns them a glare when they mentioned it. Naruto had even gotten to the stage of calling her Kurenai-chan. Kurenai liked Naruto because he was so bashful around her. All she had to do was put her face close to his and stare at him, or smile at him, and he would look at the ground and blush, scratching the back of his head at the same time. Kurenai actually found this quite cute, but she would never let the others know. At times, she even called him Naruchan, which practically made him faint. By now, Naruto had already mastered several ninjutsu from each element. He'd lapped up Kurenai's genjutsu lessons and he was also becoming very competent in taijutsu, adopting some of the Gukken, or Iron Fist style into a mix of other various fighting styles that each teacher had. Kakashi was especially helpful with the styles he had copied with the Sharingan. Over the next 2 years, Naruto's unique taijutsu style had a massive number of flaws in it, until he individually worked the kinks out of the vast majority of the style. All of his teachers commented that his style needed a new name. So Naruto got thinking while continuing to learn from his senseis. Eventually, he settled on the name Kijiken, or Shadow Fist, due to the style mainly relying on excessive agility to keep the enemy on their toes, constantly appearing in their shadow and a decent amount of power so that a lot of powerful hits could be made in a short amount of time. The one downside to this is it required a huge stamina capacity to use to its full potential. However, for less serious occasions, or if he was running low on stamina, Naruto could sacrifice the power and use the speed for much longer. By the end of that year, Naruto believed he was ready for the academy. However, Kakashi said to wait until next year. Naruto agreed, as if he entered now, he would not be able to be in the same class as Shikamaru and Chuji, who had come over to his apartment to play quite a number of times. Shikamaru had proven he was Naruto's equal in shugi. Shikamaru had never met someone who could play shugi as well as Naruto, and was shocked at the boy's level of knowledge and foresight. During the next year, Guy decided it would be interesting to see if Naruto could open his celestial gates. Naruto had not too long ago inquired as to the mechanics behind the Raikiri, to which Kakashi had told Naruto that it relied on complete activation of the body, which was then concentrated into the thrusting arm. The theory behind temporarily opening the celestial gates used the same principle in a different manner. Unlocking the gates required activation of the body, or more specifically, certain parts of the body. When Guy gave Naruto the theory behind the gates and told him to try it, Naruto wasn't able to do it, which was no surprise. However, when he came the next day after having studied all the scrolls on the gates believed he could open the first one. When Guy instructed Naruto to try, Naruto began to concentrate his chakra to his brain where the first gate was located. Naruto felt a surge of power, unlike anything he'd ever felt before. Guy's eyes widened as the ground under Naruto began to crack as red chakra leaked out of Naruto and formed a massive aura of chakra that gave off a feeling of pure utter dread to everyone who felt it. Within no time at all, Kakashi and the Sandaime Hokage were at the field, inspecting Naruto as he sat, panting on the ground. Kakashi looked at Naruto, his face full of worry. "Naruto, what just happened?" Naruto looked up at Kakashi and then at the old man Hokage. "Well, I opened the first gate, and then this red chakra poured out of me. Guy-sensei tells me that red chakra shouldn't come out until the third gate is opened." Kakashi looked at the Hokage worriedly, who looked at Naruto. "Naruto, did you feel anything unusual about the red chakra?" Naruto nodded. It felt both foreign and familiar at the same time, but the chakra was full of hate, anger, and bloodlust. I've never felt that much of it before. Sarutobi nodded slowly, taking this in. Naruto looked up at them for an explanation. "Aniki? Old man? What happened?" The old man rubbed his temples and directed everyone back to Naruto and Kakashi's place, where they all took a seat. Kakashi prepared some tea for the four of them while the Hokage thought about where to begin. "Naruto, do you remember your birthday?" Naruto nodded slowly, having no idea where this was going. "October 10th. The Hokage nodded. "Do you remember the story about the Kyuubi?" Naruto nodded again. "Yondaime defeated it, didn't he?" The Hokage didn't nod or shake his head, but took a puff of his pipe. "Defeated is the right word. Technically, the Kyuubi is still alive, but only in a spiritual sense." Naruto frowned. He didn't like where this was going. Not one bit. "Then that red chakra was..." The old man nodded again. Kakashi handed a mug to the other three and sat down next to Naruto with his own. "Yes, that chakra was Kyuubi's. Naruto, a being such as the Kyuubi could never be fully destroyed by a mortal. However, the Yondaime used a special jutsus that ripped the Kyuubi's soul out of its body, killing it in a physical sense, and the soul was sealed inside a newborn child. The Yondaime's wish was that the child be viewed as a hero, the jailer of the most powerful demon to ever walk the earth. However, people quickly started circulating rumors that the child was not the jailer, but the Kyuubi himself. The rumors were completely unjustified, but the rumors continued to spread. To save the child, I was forced to pass a law that the people who knew were forbidden to talk about it, especially with the child's generation, in the hopes the child could at least gain some friends with people his own age." Naruto shook his head slowly. It all fit. Every single thing. The hatred he received from everyone, the reason no one adopted him until Kakashi did, and the reason why the people feared and hated him. God damn it, why was I the one? Naruto looked up at the Hokage. "Why me?" The two simple words had severe implications, but Kakashi looked at the Hokage and nodded. The Hokage turned to Naruto and began the final part of the explanation. "Naruto, despite the fact that Yondaime used you as the container, there were very good reasons. I trust your sense of judgment will enable you to use this information wisely. You were the only child born on that day, and even if another one had, the Yondaime would not have dared ask for the other one. He wanted his own son to bear the burden and surpass him." Naruto just shook his head. The Kyuubi made sense, but now they were trying to insinuate that he was the Yondaime's son? This was stupid. "Do you seriously expect me to believe that? Why not leave me a note, a picture, something to say I'm sorry?" Naruto was known on his feet, tears threatening to spill from his eyes. Guy looked at the floor while the Hokage rubbed his temples, but Kakashi picked something out of his pocket and handed it to Naruto. It was a picture of the Yondaime, looking forlornly over a child who had a tuft of blonde hair. Standing with him were three others. Naruto recognized two of them instantly. One was the Sandaime, while the other was a teenage Kakashi. Naruto stared at it before Naruto flipped it over and couldn't hold the tears back. There was a message on the back addressed to him. "I'm sorry, son. Your old man, Erasure." Naruto collapsed onto the chair and sobbed, the picture clattering out of his hands. At that point, there was a knock on the door, and Guy went to see who it was, surprised to find Kurenai and Asuma at the door looking very worried. When they saw Naruto in tears, they could guess what had just happened. They came in and closed the door. Asuma nodded to his father, the Sandaime, while Kurenai's maternal instincts took over and she hugged the sobbing Naruto. In all the years she'd known him, she'd never ever seen him cry. Kurenai noticed the picture on the floor and grimaced. She was not the least bit surprised at Naruto's reaction to the photo. Knowing that Naruto had just been told who his father was, the Kyuubi explanation would have come too, which would explain why they felt the Kyuubi's chakra. Naruto just leaned into Kurenai's chest and sobbed for the better part of an hour, while everyone in the room looked extremely downcast, and for good reason too. Eventually, Naruto stopped crying and Kurenai let him go. Naruto looked up at her, his cheeks puffy with crying, but the hint of a smile playing across his face. "Thanks, Kurenai-chan." Kurenai smiled as she hugged Naruto again. Naruto finally realized where exactly he was located. Right in between her sizable cleavage. Everyone could detect Naruto's embarrassment as Kurenai let him go, trying to keep herself from blushing. Asuma and Kakashi smirked. They were definitely not going to let Naruto live this one down. This was fuel for taunts and the like that would last for years. After several hours of explaining to Naruto that he was forbidden to tell anyone outside this room any of this information, everyone except Naruto and Kakashi left, Asuma giving Naruto a knowing smile, which turned Naruto bright red. Once the door shut, Kakashi turned to Naruto. "So, what was it like?" Naruto looked at Kakashi in confusion. "Huh?" Kakashi's visible eye crinkled as he smiled in that lazy fashion. "Her chest." Naruto flushed again as he crossed his arms while Kakashi just continued smiling at him. "Pervert." Kakashi chuckled at the name and decided to eat out tonight before getting an early night. He took Naruto to a place that Naruto had recently come to enjoy. Ichiraku Ramen. They both sat down and greeted the owner. "Hey, Ojizen." The man smiled at the boy. "Ah, hey there, Naruto. I see you've brought your brother with you this time. What can I get for the two of you?" Naruto jumped in with his favorite order. "One large miso pork ramen with a boiled egg, please, Ojizen." The man turned to Kakashi. "And for you?" Kakashi smiled at the man. "One large miso beef ramen, please." The man nodded and got to work. "Coming right up." After they had both eaten, Naruto and Kakashi paid and walked back to the apartment. The day of reckoning, as Kakashi called him jokingly, was close at hand. Naruto was about to enter the academy. At the start of the next year, Kakashi had walked Naruto to the academy, where he quickly met up with his two friends Shikamaru and Shuji, who had come with their parents. The boys greeted each other while the parents did the same. They turned to the Hokage as he addressed them, welcoming the students to the academy. Most of the parents were listening, but the children, being their age, let their minds wander. The majority of the children's eyes ended up on Naruto and Kakashi, while Naruto was specifically looking at a raven-haired boy and a brunette who was most likely his father. Both of them had the Uchiha family crest on the backs of their jackets. It was clear the father did not want to be there, and he proved it when the second the speech finished, he turned and left his son there. The other parents and their children walked inside to sign their son's or daughter's name off on the list that the head teacher had. Once it came to Naruto's turn, the man looked at Kakashi and smiled. "Ah, Kakashi-san? This must be Naruto, correct?" Kakashi nodded. The Chunin looked at Naruto, smiling kindly. Naruto noticed the man had a very tanned face with a scar running across the bridge of his nose. "Welcome to the academy, Naruto. I've heard a lot of positive stories about you. I look forward to teaching you." Naruto nodded, and as his name was ticked off, he was directed to a classroom. Kakashi walked him to the classroom door, and as he walked in, the formerly rowdy class calmed down again when they saw the newest father-slash-son couple walk in. However, the father was extremely young, and while they did both look similar, even their facial expressions were a carbon copy. The age difference was far too small for the man to be Naruto's father. Naruto turned to his family and waved goodbye. "I'll see you tonight, Nizan." Kakashi waved and walked out of the classroom. Naruto turned back to the class, noticing Shikamaru and Shuji smiling at him. Naruto smiled back and took a seat beside them, completely ignoring the fact that the majority of the class's eyes were on him. Naruto took his eyes off Shuji for a moment and saw one of the girls. She had a rather feisty look in her eyes. Naruto ignored it and looked forward to see every single girl in the class was looking at him in much the same manner. Naruto knew that look. It was the look a predator gave its prey. Naruto smiled and sweat dropped. Waving his hands dismissively in the air, Naruto spoke out loud for the class to hear. "Sorry, ladies, I'm taken." There was a unanimous groan from every single girl in the classroom. Naruto smiled as the boy's sweat dropped. Shikamaru looked at Naruto. Since when did you get a girl? Naruto smiled lazily. Since yesterday. Shikamaru mumbled before he spoke loud enough for the people around him to hear. Mendo kusai. Naruto's eyes crinkled into a smile. The last of the people were coming into the classroom. Naruto noticed a boy with a mass of brown spikes, sunglasses, and a trench coat. No one moved up for the boy, but Naruto moved up to make room for him. The boy took the spot with a slight nod. No problem. Everyone else turned to Naruto, thinking he was picking a fight. The boy looked at him with an eyebrow raised. Did you just read your body language? Yeah. Shino nodded and continued looking at the boy. Naruto smiled at him. You wouldn't happen to be from the Aburame clan, would you? The boy nodded slightly again. Naruto smiled. I always thought having bugs as a weapon would be an interesting way of fighting. Most of the people looked at Naruto like he was crazy, but the Aburame heir just raised an eyebrow. Naruto smiled. I do my research. The name's Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto extended a hand, as did Shino after considering it for a second. Shino. Aburame Shino. They let go of their hands and they noticed that the last student had entered the class. Most of the students looked at the boy suspiciously, but Naruto moved up again to make space for the boy who took the seat. Naruto could tell from the red facial tattoos and the dog with him that this boy was an Inuzuka. Naruto smiled as he held up a hand in greeting. Yo! You're an Inuzuka, right? The guy nodded, flashing some slightly longer than normal canines, which most of the others flinched at, but Naruto's group kept on looking at their new guest. Naruto stuck out his hand. Uzumaki Naruto. The guy accepted his hand. Inuzuka Kiba. Naruto looked at the small dog on top of Kiba's head. What's your companion's name? Kiba was shocked. Naruto wasn't looking at the puppy as if it were just a puppy, but as if it were almost human. This boy understood the Inuzuka's connection with their partners. He was definitely something else. His name's Akamaru. Naruto waved at the puppy, who gave a bark in greeting. Naruto looked at their group of 5 before their instructor walked in. It was the Chunin who had the scar across his nose. He looked at the class, rather surprised at the quietness. He usually had to tell them to keep it down before he started the lesson. Well, everyone, from today for the next 5 years, you will learn the basics of being a ninja and to prepare you for the outside world. I'm Yumino Irika, or to you, Irika-sensei. The day pressed on and quickly drew to an end. Naruto's group of 5 made it to the front door of the academy to see that the parents were waiting for them. Kakashi waved to him, and Naruto waved to his new and old friends as he went to his brother. 5 years later. It was the day of the graduation exam. Naruto's group had gotten together one night a week for the last few months to discuss what the exam could be, and how to study for it. Kakashi had hinted at them what the exam most likely consists of, and when Naruto heard the word Bunshin, he sighed at the distant memories of his first few weeks at the academy. Kakashi had quickly found that Naruto could not do a regular Bunshin if his life depended on it. It had to do with the sheer amount of chakra he had. Naruto had figured out that the only way to do any Bunshin was to learn a higher level one that required a large amount of chakra. Kakashi had decided that teaching Naruto the Kage Bunshin was his best bet. Kakashi was not surprised when Naruto did it successfully on the first try. So when Naruto was required to do a Bunshin for the first time at the academy, he made a Kage Bunshin, completely shocking not only the entire class, but Irika as well. Naruto looked up at Irika and explained. Since my chakra capacity is so big, it's physically impossible for me to do a regular Bunshin. So Nizan taught me the Kage Bunshin. Irika nodded dumbly as Naruto had returned to his seat, getting a high five from Kiba, a nod from Shino, a troublesome from Shikamaru, and some chips from Chuji. Since then, everyone in the class wondered how strong Naruto truly was. When Sasuke had inquired, Naruto told him bluntly. A ninja never reveals his true strength unless necessary. That answer had got Sasuke fairly riled up. The class progressed through the years, and Naruto was always number 1 in everything by a mile. On the day of the graduation exam, Naruto walked into the room, greeted his friends, and took his usual place. Irika informed them that the first test of 4 was written. A lot of students groaned as the papers were handed out. They were told not to turn them over until the rules were explained and no questions were allowed to be asked. When Naruto got his paper, and the order was given to begin, Naruto turned the paper over and stared. This was not a set of questions a genin should be able to answer. Hell, high Chunins would have difficulty. Naruto looked around and saw that everyone was doing fine. Naruto looked questioningly at Iruka, who smiled. Naruto's eyes narrowed. He set this up. Naruto looked at the 10 questions on the page and proceeded to try and remember what the answers to these were. He'd either heard the answers or had been quizzed on them before at some point. Now it was all a matter of remembering. Naruto began to write the answers down and finally got to the 10th question, which he narrowed his eyes at. 10. Shinobi Rule Number 25. A ninja must keep his emotions in check at all times and put the mission first. Do you support this rule, or do you think it should be redone? Provide a reason for your choice, and if you chose to reconstruct it, provide the reconstructed version. Naruto sighed. This was a damn difficult question. However, Naruto got the feeling that if he got this one right, the others wouldn't really matter. Naruto had long ago heard this rule and thought it was absolute garbage. He had even constructed his own version. Naruto wrote his answer carefully. I believe that Shinobi Law Number 25 needs to be reconstructed. The current law suggests all emotion is taboo and that humans are mindless killing machines. No matter how much you suppress a person's emotions, you will never truly kill them completely. If you do manage to, they are no longer human. The rules should be reconstructed to say, a shinobi will face situations in his life that will destroy the souls of most men. At times like these, he must steel himself, no matter how hard it may seem. Naruto put down his pen, quite pleased with himself. He looked at the time. Less than 60 seconds to go. Naruto counted down until the seconds hand reached the 12 and Iruka called for the class to put their pens down. Iruka collected the sheets, stopping when he saw Naruto's. Naruto looked up at him lazily. Any particular reason you gave me a test that the majority of Chunins could never answer, Iruka-sensei? Naruto was aware that the entire class was staring at him. Both Shikamaru and Kiba, who were on either side of Naruto, boggled at the questions. Kiba, being the loudest one of the group, expressed the group's opinion. What the hell? What kind of questions are those? Reconstruct the 25th Shinobi Law? Naruto, you actually answered that? Naruto shrugged. Whoever made that rule was an idiot. No human can be turned into a mindless killing machine without losing their humanity. The others stared at Naruto, who was lazily staring at the board. Iruka straightened the papers on his desk and then looked up at the class. While the next 2 stages are being done, the papers will be marked. Everyone, please follow me to the training field. The training field was actually a very spacious area around the back of the academy used for shuriken and kunai practice. Iruka called them out alphabetically, starting from Z and ending in A. Apart from Yamanaka Ion, it put Naruto first. Although not as blatant as the first test, this gave everyone else except Ino an edge over Naruto. They would be able to see what he could do and then try and better him. After Ino, Naruto stepped forward, taking the designated number of shuriken out of his pouch and taking aim at the straw dummy that had several targets on it over vital points. Naruto was allowed to throw up to 8 shuriken, as long as it was in one throw of each hand. Naruto slipped the shuriken into the spaces between each finger and thumb with practiced ease and took aim. Naruto was aiming to get every single vital point with one shuriken. Naruto stated his targets for everyone to hear, as the rules asked. 8 targets. Liver, lungs, spine, subclavicle vein, jugular vein, brain, kidneys, heart. Everyone murmured amongst themselves. Naruto was going for an absolute perfect score, which had not been attempted since Satake Kakashi did the exam. Iruka motioned for Naruto to go when he was ready. Naruto closed his eyes and focused for several seconds. Everyone was dead silent as Naruto concentrated. He snapped his eyes open and launched the 8 shuriken at the same time. The shuriken spun in the air, letting out the sound of metal cutting air at extreme speed. The 8 metallic implements of death struck their intended target's dead center, and everyone was speechless. Naruto had just done something that had not even been attempted for the last 14 years. Naruto turned back to Iruka. It kind of helps to be trained by the last person to do it. Naruto walked back to his little group, receiving pats on the backs, and girls swooning over him. Sasuke went next, still extremely peeved at Naruto's skill, going for only 5 targets, getting every one of them. The rest of the test went without incident, and they were moved to the final 2 tests were on. They lined up for the henge test, again going by reverse alphabetical order. Naruto went second and saw that the class was watching expectantly. The corner of Naruto's lips twitched as he saw something the rest of the class did not. Iruka was wearing a small knife strapped to his leg, which the table hid from view. Naruto didn't even form the seal, he was so familiar with the jutsu. The cloud of smoke expanded off Naruto to reveal a perfect copy of Iruka, knife and all. The students were commenting about the knife being incorrect when Iruka sighed. You even saw the knife and Naruto? Naruto released the henge and nodded. After the test was done, the scores were announced for the written test. Naruto had not surprisingly come first, Sasuke second, and Sakura third. They were told to move one person at a time into the next room for the Bunshin test as their name was called out. Naruto was unsurprisingly called first, as it seemed this time it was not going via any order in particular. As he walked into the room, he felt his chakra affected just barely by something. Looking around the room, he saw nothing suspicious and put his fingers together to dispel the genjutsu. Kai! Iruka sighed. That was the final hurdle that the Hokage had ordered placed for Naruto. Naruto was home free once he made the 2 Bunshins. Naruto looked at Iruka and formed the seal. Kaige Bunshin no Jutsu. The room filled with smoke, and when it cleared, the room was filled with naked busted blondes. They smiled and made very provocative poses at Iruka and Mizuki, whose eyes widened and they flew out of their chairs, leaving twin trails of blood ejecting from their nose. Little did Naruto know that several others were watching him that were not inside the room. The Hokage had passed out from nosebleed, watching from his crystal ball in his office, while Kakashi and Asuma both fell unconscious for the same reason, using camouflage jutsus to hide themselves just outside the window. Naruto laughed as he dispelled the clones and the henge on himself. Judging by the fact that I single-handedly knocked out 2 Chunins, 2 Tokubetsu Jounins, and most likely the Hokage at once, I think I deserve this. Naruto picked out a hitai that had long black pieces of cloth attached. Naruto looked at them on the ground and suddenly, Naruto had a plan. He whipped out his trusty digital ninja camera and took a few shots of both the Chunin. He fastened the hitai around his head and went back to the class, opening the door, where everyone looked at him expectantly. Naruto scratched the back of his head, smiling sheepishly at them. I think I went a bit overboard. They're both currently unconscious from blood loss caused by an overload of perverted thoughts. They stopped for a moment before Shikamaru's head slammed onto the desk. Kiba started howling with laughter, Chuji smiled, and Shino raised both eyebrows. Naruto waved at them. Good luck, guys, assuming they ever wake up. Naruto left the room while the others went to see if what Naruto had said was true, and sure enough, both Chunins were against the wall with twin tails of blood leading from their nostrils. Naruto went outside and pulled out his trusty, all-purpose digital ninja camera again and snapped some shots of both Kakashi and Asuma, promising himself to show them sometime later before he created a Kaige Bunshin to wait for him in the room the graduates were supposed to wait in while he snuck into the Hokage's office to take several pictures of him as well. He got back just in time to replace himself with his clone, just as Sasuke entered the room, scowling at Naruto. Later that afternoon, both Chunins had eventually recovered and finished off the rest of the examinees, before they walked into the room, glaring at Naruto, who smiled innocently at them. They stood in front of the class. Congratulations to those here who have passed. We will now announce the top 3 rankings for the exam, the year and the academy class, as well as Rookie of the Year. First place for the exam, Uzumaki Naruto. Second place, Uchiha Sasuke. Third place, Harino Sakura. First place for the year, Uzumaki Naruto. Second place, Uchiha Sasuke. Third place, Yamanaka Ino. First place for the class, Uzumaki Naruto. Second place, Uchiha Sasuke. Third place, Yamanaka Ino. Rookie of the Year is Uzumaki Naruto. For the rest of you, the total results will be posted in the reception of the academy. I would like all of you to report back here at 7 a.m. sharp so that I may assign your teams. Again, congratulations on passing. Iruka left the room, giving one last good-natured glare at Naruto before the class got up to leave. Just as Naruto was about to leave the row, he was stopped by Uchiha Sasuke. Everyone in the class stopped at this. Naruto's lazy expression turned to the Uchiha. You could have just called for me if you wanted something, Sasuke. Shut up. Fight me. Naruto pushed Sasuke aside and continued down the aisle and was about to walk out the door when Sasuke taunted him. Scared, Uzumaki? Naruto smiled at him, but his interior was not happy. He would show the Uchiha why he was the Rookie of the Year, and not the Uchiha of someone who lost to his brother and ran, screaming like a baby? No, not really. Everyone sensed the temperature in the room drop by several degrees as Sasuke charged Naruto, only to get slammed into the wall. He stumbled back up and prepared to attack again until Naruto slammed him back onto the ground and twisted his arms behind his back, stopping him from doing any seals, keeping his knee in the small of his back to make sure he wasn't going anywhere. I won in 2 moves, Uchiha. You let rage and hate overcome you. You are weak. You know why you are weak? It's because you lack love and compassion for others. Remember that well, Sasuke. Naruto let Sasuke go and continued out the door as Sasuke stared at Naruto. Sasuke hadn't received such a beating since his brother killed his entire clan. His brother had told him that he needed to hate and detest him, while Naruto told him to have love and compassion for others. Considering that Sasuke had been practically 5 years younger then, he'd gotten beaten in 2 moves. 5 years on, Naruto had beaten him in 2 moves. His confused mind made the only logical conclusion it could. Naruto was stronger than Itachi. It was completely inaccurate, but it was the logical conclusion that most people would draw in that situation. Sasuke slowly got up and began pondering Naruto's advice. He continued home, not aware of his surroundings in the least. When he got to the Uchiha Manor, he stopped, looking at the symbol his older brother had cracked with a kunai many years ago. Love and compassion. Sasuke walked into his house and continued pondering this. Formation of Team 8 and mission to the wave. That night, when Naruto had gotten home, he opened the door to the apartment with ease and saw that it was completely dark. Warily, Naruto flicked the light switch on to reveal a group of people smiling at him. People he was rather close to. Kurenai smiled and gave Naruto a hug. Congratulations on getting Rookie of the Year, Naruto. We're proud of you. Thanks, Kurenai-chan. They all congratulated Naruto, both Asuma and Kakashi giving him jokes about Naruto's new home being in Kurenai's cleavage when she was out of earshot. Naruto smirked ever so slightly. Next morning, 5 a.m. Naruto was up bright and early to get the daily Konoha Times. Just as he suspected, his plans had all come to this. Naruto walked into Kakashi's bedroom and placed a paper and a carefully prepared note next to the bed. His bag already prepared for the final day at the academy, and he snuck out of the apartment, leaving Kakashi to face the facts. When Kakashi got up several minutes later, he was aware of something unusual about his room. There was a newspaper and a note sitting on the bedside table. He groggily got up and read the headline. He stopped. He reread it. Chunin, Jounin and Hokage knocked unconscious by a giant nosebleed. He then read the note. You have been served by Uzumaki Naruto. He quivered in rage as he shouted out his curse. I'll get you yet, Naruto. This awakened the majority of people in the general vicinity, and since most of them started at sunrise, there was no point going back to sleep, so they got up, fetching the paper and finding the headlines to be interesting, and they proceeded to laugh to their heart's content at the content of the full-page article. By the time the students were at the academy, when Naruto walked in, everyone stopped and then burst out laughing. Many calls of things like, "Great job, Naruto. That was genius." And the like could be heard. The door flew open and Irika entered the room, apparently just controlling himself from attempting to kill Naruto. Naruto smiled sweetly at him. I hope you learned your lesson, Irika-sensei. The class laughed again at their teacher's expense, so Irika decided to just get on with it. Alright, again, congratulations on passing. I'm sure you'll all make me proud to have been your teacher. Irika shot a pointed glare at Naruto, and the class snickered again. Now you lives as a real ninja begin. There will be many difficult missions that you will need to work together for. Now, I will announce the teams. Everyone sat to attention at this. I'm leaving out all non-important teams. Team 7, Yamanaka Ino. Uchiha Sasuke. Hareno Sakura. Your Jounin instructor will be Hatake Kakashi. Sasuke slammed his head on the table as the two girls began bickering as they did so well. Team 8, Uzumaki Naruto. Nara Shikamaru. Akimichi Chuji. Your Jounin instructor will be Yuhi Kurenai. Naruto choked on his own spit as he began coughing, making everyone look at him. Naruto glanced at Irika. Who's our Jounin instructor, Irika-sensei? Yuhi Kurenai, Naruto. Is something wrong? Naruto about the question. Was there something wrong? His crush was going to be his sensei. But then again, they were going to be seeing a lot more of each other. Naruto shook his head, a slight flush tinting his cheeks, which did not go unnoticed by most people near him. She could have at least warned him. No, nothing's wrong, Irika-sensei. Irika nodded and continued. Team 10, Abirame Shino. Hyuga Hinata. Inazuka Kiba. Your Jounin instructor will be Sarutobi Asuma. Everyone looked at Naruto and Irika's eyes narrowed. Naruto, how did you know that? Naruto smiled. The fact that I can feel his presence just outside the door, and that he hasn't been mentioned yet. Naruto saw the door open and the man walked in. That's right, Naruto. Just thank Kami that you weren't on Kakashi's or my team. I'm going to get you for that. Naruto smiled lazily at the man as the others recognized who he was and began snickering. Sure thing, Asuma-sensei. Asuma got his team and left, Naruto waving goodbye to Kiba and Shino as they left. Next came Kurenai. As soon as Naruto felt her chakra presence, his cheeks fully flushed and he tried to shrink into his chair, much to the dismay of the others. When Kurenai stepped inside, she saw people looking between her and Naruto. Shikamaru whispered to Chuji. Hey, doesn't she look like the girl Naruto likes, according to his description? Chuji nodded. The woman smiled at Naruto. That was a great prank, Naruto. I'm Kurenai, teammates instructor. Follow me, you three. Shikamaru and Chuji had to practically drag Naruto out. Just as Naruto got to the door, he looked at the last remaining team. You guys are in for a long wait. Kakashi Nizen's always 2 hours late to everything. The remaining 3 genin sweat dropped as Naruto left and closed the door behind him. Kurenai had led the team to a nearby tree and she stood up against it while the 3 sat on a bench in front of it. For the first time, Chuji and Shikamaru got to see the woman Naruto had a crush on. To tell you the truth, she was a stunner. Long silky brunette hair, dazzling ruby red eyes, creamy white skin, perfectly toned body and one hell of a cleavage. Naruto was trying not to stare at her, but it was hard. Kurenai chuckled at Naruto. Naruto, I'll never get tired of your pranks. Naruto blushed more and scratched the back of his head as he looked down. Chuji and Shikamaru were unsure of what to make of Naruto's actions in the classroom concerning their new sensei. I think we should introduce ourselves. Although I indirectly know of you from Naruto's descriptions, I want to get to know you personally. So start with your name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, and dreams. Kurenai looked at Chuji. You first. Chuji nodded. My name is Akimichi Chuji. My likes are eating, hanging out with my friends and playing pranks. My dislikes are people who underestimate others because of their appearance or rank, people who have to pick on one person as a group and Sasuke's fangirls. My hobbies are training, playing with my friends and taste testing food. My dream is to reach my full potential and show the people who doubted me that I'm not a pushover. Kurenai nodded and turned to Shikamaru. My name is Nara Shikamaru. My likes are watching the clouds, playing shugi with Naruto and sleeping. My dislikes are troublesome things. My hobbies are hanging out with my friends. My dream is to become an average ninja, settle down and have kids. Kurenai raised an eyebrow at the mention of troublesome things, but nodded as she turned to Naruto. Naruto. Naruto looked up, trying desperately to maintain his resolve. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. My likes are ramen, playing shugi with Shikamaru, hanging out with my friends and... Naruto broke off at the thought, blushing slightly more heavily before restarting. My dislikes are arrogant people, and people who look down on others. My hobbies are playing pranks, training and making friends. My dream is to become the Hokage, and make everyone in this village recognize me by surpassing all the ones before me. Kurenai nodded as she introduced herself. My name is Yohi Kurenai. My likes are talking with friends, dango, and calligraphy. My dislikes are others who judge people by their appearances, little orange books and perverts. My hobbies are to train and learn new genjutsu. My dream, I have not decided on yet. Kurenai looked at each of them, while Naruto was smiling at the mention of little orange books and perverts. Kurenai grinned at them in a way that made all 3 boys slightly uncomfortable. As I'm sure Naruto is aware, the graduation exam was not the actual genin exam. It only selected those who would be allowed to take the exam. The test given depends on the jounin. Usually, the test is the same one that the jounin sensei gave them as genin. My test is going to fall into this category. I need all 3 of you to meet me at Training Area 19 tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. sharp. Until then, you are dismissed. The 3 could have sworn she gave Naruto a wink as she poofed somewhere else. The 3 boys got up, and they turned to Naruto. What kind of a test will this be, Naruto? Naruto thought about it. Surprisingly, Kurenai had not told Naruto what her test was, but Naruto understood the meaning behind it. Naruto looked at the other 2 lazily. I'm not sure of what the actual test is, but as with every one of the tests, they try and get you to be greedy, but the hidden message is always teamwork. Both Shikamaru and Chuji smiled, which caused Naruto to smile. We've been working together for 6 years. Teamwork comes easily to us. Both Chuji and Naruto nodded as they turned to leave. Naruto thought about something. You 2 want to go get some lunch? They both nodded as Naruto looked at them. Ramen okay? They both smirked. Naruto without his ramen was not Naruto at all. They both nodded and headed to the best place for ramen in Konoha, Ichiraku's. Next morning. At 4:55 a.m., all three boys turned up at Training Field 19 with an assortment of weapons. Naruto had barely any sleep for being paranoid about Kakashi getting his revenge on him while he slept, but he was used to going several nights without sleep. They sat under a tree and waited. Right as Naruto's watch beeped to indicate it was 5 a.m., Kurenai appeared in a puff of smoke in front of them. Naruto smiled at her. As always, on time, unlike Nizan. Kurenai smirked at this before the three boys stood up. Kurenai grinned at them and reached into a pocket, withdrawing 2 bells. Naruto's sweat dropped. How popular is the bell test? The other two looked at him while Kurenai flashed them a smile. Most of the current jounins use it. Naruto, why don't you explain how this works to them? Naruto sighed. There are 2 bells. This test has a 66% failure rate for the graduating teams. Only 3 teams will make it. We have to get a bell from Kurenai-sensei before the time she specifies. The one who doesn't get a bell will be sent back to the academy to redo their final year of training. The other 2 frowned. This wasn't what Naruto told them, but he looked at Kurenai as she smiled. Exactly. You have until noon to get these bells. She put an alarm clock on the stump and started it. Go! All 3 boys disappeared. Naruto looked at the 2 next to him from their hiding place. Forget what I said back there. The main reason for this test is teamwork. If we can prove to her that we can work together as a team, we'll pass, no matter if we get the bells or not. Both boys nodded and Chuji turned to Naruto and Shikamaru while they began planning. Once they had come up with a viable strategy, Naruto reached into a sash on his belt and withdrew what looked to be a pair of trench knives. Naruto put them on, channeling chakra to the knives, and the boys watched as the knives' blades were surrounded by an extended chakra blade. Chuji looked stunned, and Shikamaru raised a lazy eyebrow. What's with the knives, Naruto? Naruto looked at them. I have an elemental affinity for wind, as does Asuma-sensei. He uses a pair of these knives too. I'll create the initial distraction while Chuji, you basically keep Kurenai dodging. While this is happening, Shikamaru, you get into position for the cage main, okay? I'll get the bells. The other 2 nodded and Naruto turned to where he could sense Kurenai. Naruto focused to make sure it wasn't a genjutsu of some sort and nodded. He extended the fingers on one hand and closed them slowly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go! Naruto channeled a huge amount of chakra into the knives and hurled them, one after the other, at the tree in front of him. They pierced through the tree, the next and the next, making Kurenai hop out of the way from her position in the field. By now, Chuji had appeared, using his Baika no Jutsu and Nikuden Sasha, as he began carving up the field. Roll, 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 roll. Kurenai had to smirk at Chuji's antics until she realized she couldn't move. She managed to see Shikamaru forming a rat seal from a nearby tree branch, smirking at her, seeing his shadow stretching down the tree trunk and up to her own shadow. Kage main no Jutsu Seiko. Kurenai was aware of Naruto behind her, and he walked up to her, removing the bells from her belt. Sorry, Kurenai-sensei. But we've been working together for 6 years. Teamwork comes naturally to us. Shikamaru let Kurenai go as Naruto smiled at her, holding the bells for her to see. While the others made fun of Chuji for being overweight, we knew he had the ability to become an excellent ninja. And while Shikamaru was the dope of the class, according to him, it was just too troublesome to move the pen during class. Shikamaru's actually smarter than me. A hell of a lot smarter. His IQ is about 200. Kurenai looked at Shikamaru. It was true. Shikamaru had the worst score of his year, but the look on Naruto's face implied he was completely serious. Naruto smiled as his teammates gave him the thumbs up. Kurenai smiled at them. You saw the real reason for this test. Teamwork. All of you pass. From tomorrow, Team 8 will begin doing missions. Naruto, I trust you don't mind me making you the team captain? Naruto turned to the others. If they don't mind, it's okay with me. They both nodded and smiled, so Naruto smiled too. Kurenai looked at each of the 3 boys. Congratulations on passing. From what Naruto told me, I had no doubts that you would pass. Meet here at 9 a.m. every morning unless I specify otherwise. The 3 nodded and they turned to leave the field, but Kurenai called Naruto back. Naruto motioned the others to keep going, so they did. What is it, Kurenai-chan? Kurenai smiled at him as he looked up at her, hanging off her every word. She looked at Naruto. Naruto, now that you're the team captain, you have several responsibilities. Naruto nodded, listening to her. You are responsible for your team's health and status. Do you remember what we've all taught you? Naruto nodded, reciting the phrase that had been drilled into him from the age of 5. People who disobey the mission directives are trash. However, those who don't take care of their friends are far worse than that. Kurenai nodded in agreement as she bent down to put her face level with Naruto, smiling at his awkwardness. Everyone in their little group of Jounin friends knew of Naruto's crush on Kurenai. The fact that Naruto tried desperately to hide it made it all the cuter, according to Kurenai. She looked at him, and bent forward, placing her lips to his forehead, and Naruto froze. Naruto turned bright red and started trembling. His crush was giving him a kiss. Naruto could pretty much go on to the next world contently. Kurenai pulled back slowly as she looked into Naruto's eyes, ruby red locking with sapphire blue. Congratulations, Naruto. You make me proud. That did it. Naruto's senses were in overload, still very aware of the slight warmth that Kurenai's lips had left on his forehead and the praise that came with it from the object of his affections. Naruto's body did the only thing it could, which was very uncharacteristic for him. He fainted, much to Kurenai's amusement. Kurenai picked him up, poofing back to Naruto and Kakashi's house to drop him off. 6 days later. Team 8 had been doing many D-rank missions, as well as training by themselves and with others. After the latest mission, Naruto had gone back to Guy for some tips in taijutsu and met up with not only Guy, but his genin team, which Naruto had met about a week after they became Guy's team. Naruto waved to the team as he entered their training field. Lee rushed up to him, grabbing his hand in a bone-crunching shake. It is my eternal rival, Naruto-kun. Your flames of youth burn brightly, my friend. Naruto smiled, but shuddered internally at the title he had earned himself from a stupid mistake. Flashback, 1 year ago. When he first met the team, he saw Lee and the two had made fast friends. Upon seeing Lee use the springtime of youth speech, Naruto was acutely aware of the infection of the green spandex flames of youth disease, as both Naruto and Kakashi jokingly called it, was spreading from Guy to Lee. Naruto, snapping out of this line of thought, and noticed that Lee was expecting an answer and Naruto had foolishly said the worst thing he possibly could have without thinking. Sorry, what was that? Guy's eyes started burning with the flames of youth, who Lee mirrored. Both of Lee's teammates, a chocolate brown-eyed, brunette girl and a jet-black-haired Hyuga, started backing away. Naruto's sweat dropped. Lee, it seems that my eternal rival's annoyingly hip attitude has passed on to his student. It seems you now have your own eternal rival. Yash. I will prove with the explosion of youth that hard work will defeat genius every time. Back in the present. Naruto shook his hand and winced slightly at the pressure. Despite both Lee and Guy's passionate talks of the flames of youth, crying, group hugs and the strange genjutsu that usually manifested in the form of something that would usually be equated to a romantic scene, such as waves crashing against a rock in the afternoon sunset, that even with the help of Kurenai's training in genjutsu, Naruto still couldn't figure out how it worked. Both of them were actually quite accomplished fighters and excellent taijutsu sparring partners. Soon enough, Naruto had become friends with the girl, who identified herself as Tenten, and even managed to eventually get under Niji's cool exterior to an extent. Today, Guy was teaching them about opening the celestial gates and a move that can only be used by opening them. After the theory, as well as some tips from both Naruto and Guy, everyone tried. Even though the group knew that Lee had no chakra, he had a surprising knack for opening gates, as did Naruto. Naruto was puzzled as to why Niji could not open them, considering his clan relied on total control of their chakra, but proceeded to open the first gate. Once he closed it, Guy showed them the move, which shocked even Naruto. The move was a highly destructive, self-damaging move, but if you managed to get the enemy with it, they were pretty much guaranteed death. Guy gave Naruto 2 rolls of specially modified medical tape, insisting that he use them to assist with the move. Naruto found that he could control the movement of this medical tape with chakra. Naruto and Lee both undid part of the medical tape around their forearms and aimed for their individual targets, which happened to be 2 rather large logs. Once they opened the first gate, they disappeared, reappearing inside what would be considered the enemy's guard, giving a savage kick to the log, making it fly into the air. One of the things Naruto, Niji and Guy noticed was that when Lee opened a gate was that his body somehow produced chakra while the gate was open. Using this, both boys controlled the medical tape to wrap around the logs, adding an extremely fast rotation to add extra damage to the impact, slamming the logs into the ground. Omote wrench. Both boys fell back, panting from the strain on their bodies as they heard the logs crack and split in half, much to Niji and Tenten's amazement. Lee, having boundless energy, jumped up, cheering and shouting while Naruto just shook his head, trying to get over the pain his body was feeling. Stamina freak. Lee smiled, giving him a nice guy pose, and Naruto shuddered as he saw Lee's teeth sparkle. After training with the three for the day, Naruto went home, silently dreading whatever foolish mission they would get tomorrow. Next morning, midday. After a 30-minute meeting, Kurenai had taken the team to receive their mission, much to the chagrin of the team. It was time to find that dreaded cat, Tora, again. Naruto just barely suppressed a groan. This was the 4th time this week alone they had to retrieve the daimyo's wife's damn cat. Naruto seriously wished he could just kick the cat clear into the middle of next week so as to avoid it for at least 1 week. When they had caught it, the cat attempted to scratch Naruto until he directed a none too small amount of chakra-infused hatred at the cat, who quieted down immediately. Shikamaru had sighed. Mendokusai. When they reported their success to Mission Command and handed over the offending kitten to the daimyo's wife, she started violently squeezing the cat against her face. Chuji smiled as he put more chips into his mouth. No wonder it runs away so often. Naruto was chanting a mantra to himself, which the others heard. Hug it harder. Hug it harder. Hug it harder. Both boys smirked and Kurenai chuckled. The woman left the payment for the Hokage and left the room with a very distressed cat. The Hokage smiled at them. Team 8. Your missions for today include babysitting an elder's grandson, shopping in a nearby town, digging up the potatoes. Naruto sighed and shook his head before speaking the other three's opinions. Old man, do you realize the content of the missions you're giving us? I really don't see how these could be classified as missions for ninja. These are tasks that should be delegated to regular civilians. A ninja is supposed to handle his inventory carefully, not squander it on things that they could be used for something that would better suit their purpose. Iruka was going to shout out at Naruto, but his logic was sound. There really was no answer to Naruto's request other than to admit that he was right. The Hokage sighed and took a puff of his pipe, reaching into the stack of paper marked C. He handed a scroll to Kurenai, giving them a brief summary of the mission. The Wave Country has sent a person to request protection from thugs and bandits, as he completes the bridge he is working on. You can come in now. The door opened, and the team turned to see a thick-set man most likely in his 50s. His skin was very tanned, indicating he worked outside most of his life. He reeked of alcohol, and the bottle of sake in his hand proved it. He took another swig as he looked over the people that were assigned to protect him. What's the idea of giving me 3 runts for protection? Are you sure they can do it? The blonde looked super stupid. Naruto smiled lazily as he looked at the man. You know, underestimating a person is a grave mistake that you usually won't live to regret. The old man stopped drinking, a grin spreading over his face. I like you, kid. I was half expecting you to lose your cool. Sorry about that. Naruto waved his hand dismissively. No harm done. We'll protect you until you complete the bridge. The man nodded as he thanked the Hokage and led them to the front of the Hokage tower. Kurenai looked at each of them. We're leaving in half an hour from the south gate. Prepare yourselves for a several-week mission. Go! The three split, while Kurenai nodded at Tazuna, poofing away to get her own things, leaving the man to walk towards the south gate by himself. Half an hour later. The 3 boys met up within a minute of each other, seeing Tazuna already there. As the designated half-hour expired, Kurenai appeared and the team walked out of the gates towards their destination. Naruto immediately struck up a conversation with Tazuna about the project he was the head of. Tazuna had carefully prepared a story that would leave out any details hinting this mission was anything more than a C-class. Naruto smiled when he felt the genjutsu and looked to see a puddle on the ground. All 4 ninjas noticed that it was off. It hadn't rained in weeks, and the weather since it last rained had been very sunny with few clouds. They kept walking and both Naruto and Kurenai felt the genjutsu dispel and 2 ninjas charge at them. Naruto flicked his trusty trench knives onto his hands from their hidden pouches in his sleeves and activated the chakra knives. Kurenai smiled at the team. Go for it. Tazuna looked up to see 2 ninjas wearing face masks, cloaks and a gauntlet on opposing arms that were connected via a chain with their eyes right on him. Shikamaru jumped in front of Tazuna, extending his cage mane to catch the 2 Chunin-level ninja unaware. Naruto charged forwards, slicing the chain connecting the ninja in half while Chuji used his combo to turn into a ball of meat while he began rolling towards them. Roll, 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 roll. The ninja looked at Chuji with a look of surprise, fear and a hint of total confusion. Just as Chuji was about to impact them, Shikamaru let go of the cage main to ensure he didn't receive friendly fire. Chuji squashed the two ninja and came to a stop. Naruto looked at the two ninja who had stars in their eyes. Naruto took out some ninja wire from his pack, dragging the pair to a tree and tying them to it. Tazuna looked at the three young ninjas in surprise. No wonder the Hokage had assigned this team to him. These guys were good. Naruto slapped the ninja awake to start questioning them. After he thought he'd gotten all of the info out of them he could, which was very little, he used a genjutsu to knock them unconscious for quite some time. Naruto turned to check that his teammates and sensei were uninjured, and they all turned to Tazuna. Naruto spoke for them. We really don't mind taking on enemy ninja, but it's not a good idea to hide that info. Judging by the description you gave us of the Wave Country, I can understand the problem with the payment needed for a B or a rank mission, but if you had told the Hokage of your circumstances, I'm sure you could have come to some agreement. Tazuna sighed. The boy was smart, no doubt about it. He looked up with a fake smile. Sorry about that. So, will you still continue the mission? They all looked to Kurenai, who just shrugged. I may be their sensei, but if they don't want to, I can't force them. Tazuna looked at each of them before Naruto's eyes crinkled into a lazy smile. Not doing something that you know is right is the coward's way. We all want to continue. Tazuna looked genuinely happy as he led them further down the road towards the wave. Several hours later, Tazuna had led them to a boat where another man in a coolie hat was waiting. The man nodded to Tazuna, and when Tazuna introduced the four Konoha ninjas as super powerful, the man smiled and bowed, introducing himself as Kaji. Once everyone was on board, Kaji started the motor, and they made their way upriver into a thick mist. At an apparently random point, Kaji cued the engine, stating that Gato's men regularly patrolled this area, asking them to keep it down as he brought out an pole and began pushing the boat the last leg of the journey. Soon enough, the silhouette of the bridge came into view. Shikamaru studied it in a calculative fashion, as did Naruto and Kurenai. Chuji looked at it in awe. That's a large bridge. Tazuna smiled, keeping his voice low like Chuji had. Yeah, that's the super bridge I'm building. Once it's completed, the Wave Country will return to its former state of prosperity. Naruto nodded as they passed under the bridge and arrived at the shore. They got out, and Kaji nodded to them. This is as far as I can go without being caught. Good luck. Tazuna nodded. Take care, friend. Kaji nodded and began rowing back the way he had come while the others continued on towards the wave. After several hours of walking, both Naruto and Kurenai stiffened slightly and Naruto hurled a kunai into a bush. After whatever was in there stopped moving, Naruto went to check what the person wanted. When he cleared the bush, he saw a snow-white rabbit looking at him, glassy eyes. Tazuna raised an eyebrow, but Naruto knew there was something off. Rabbits that were this color only came from one country, and Wave wasn't it. Naruto felt his danger sense tingling and he jumped to the ground, as did Kurenai and Chuji, while Shikamaru took Tazuna down just in time to avoid having their heads separated from their bodies. The massive sword embedded itself into a tree and a figure appeared on the hilt, staring at them over his shoulder. Everyone recovered and looked at the man. Kurenai's eyes narrowed at him in recognition. Momochi Zabuza, S-Class Nuke-Nin, former member of the 7 Shinobi Swordsmen. This is the last place I expected to run into you. Zabuza humphed and turned around fully, focusing on Kurenai. You're Kurenai, Genjutsu Mistress of Konoha, a rank. I see you've brought some brats with you. How long do you think they'll last? Kurenai raised an eyebrow. Longer than you think. Zabuza raised an eyebrow, that is, if he had one. Instead, the skin where his eyebrow would be just lifted. You seem to have a lot of confidence in these kids. Kurenai smiled coldly at Zabuza. I do, especially since I've trained them. Zabuza laughed mirthlessly as he yanked the sword out of the three and landed, forming a single-hand seal. Kirigakure no Jutsu. The light mist around them rapidly intensified into a severe fog, making them incapable of seeing more than 2 meters in any direction. A disembodied voice floated out from all around them. 8 points. Shikamaru and Chuji raised an eyebrow. Naruto smiled. Silent killing. He's going for the 8 vital points of the human body. There was laughter from all around them. You know your stuff, kid. Mind telling me what those points are? Naruto's eyes crinkled up as he recited them. Liver, lungs, spine, subclavicle vein, jugular vein, brain, kidneys, heart. There was more laughter before Naruto felt Zabuza appear right in the middle of their group. Exactly. Let's see how many I can get on one swipe. Naruto flashed forward, shoving a kunai into Zabuza's stomach only to see the wound drip water, and not blood. Naruto cursed his luck. Mizu Bunshin. Sure enough, the Bunshin turned to water and splattered onto the ground. Naruto felt another presence behind him. This one was just as weak as the last, so Naruto prepared his plan. You're not bad for a runt. However, this is where you die. Zabuza cleaved Naruto, only to find he puffed into smoke. Kage Bunshin? Naruto appeared behind Zabuza again, one of Naruto's chakra knives held to his neck. Yeah. I would have, though a Jounin would never have underestimated an opponent. After all, there are kids my age that are stronger than I am. Naruto was aware of another Zabuza behind him. This one was also a clone, but he felt the real deal appear behind Kurenai. Naruto stood stock still. No matter what he did now, it was highly likely that one of the groups would die. Naruto should have seen this coming. So, you sacrificed pawns until you got me into a false sense of security, and then cornered the queen with yours. I should have seen that. Zabuza smirked again. So you play Shugi? Well, you realize without your queen, you're stuffed, right? Naruto sighed, slowly taking his knife back from in front of him. Zabuza smirked and gave Kurenai a savage kick to the back, sending her flying into the water. Naruto used both knives to inflict a wound deep enough on the clones to destroy both of them before looking at Kurenai. Kurenai-sensei. Kurenai got to the surface of the water only to see Zabuza was behind her and formed several seals, trapping her in a prison of water. He looked back at them. Checkmate. Hand over the old man. Naruto, Chuji and Shikamaru got to their feet. Kurenai looked at them. The three of you, get out of here. Naruto, I may have trained you for 7 years, but you're still no match for him. Take Tazuna and run. Naruto sighed. The second you were captured, we lost that option. If we ran, Zabuza would kill you and then pick us off at his leisure. Both Chuji and Shikamaru nodded in agreement. Zabuza formed about 10 Mizu Bunshins and sent them to stand around the 4 of them. Shikamaru bent down and formed his thinking pose. Naruto and Chuji smiled. Whenever Shikamaru formed that pose, he was coming up with a strategy. After about 1 minute, Shikamaru opened his eyes and put his hands by his side. Naruto, I need you to take care of the queen. I'll hold off the pawns with Chuji until you deal with him. Naruto nodded and readied himself as Shikamaru pulled out 10 kunai, while Chuji prepared to do an old trick. Shikamaru launched the kunai at the clones, who dodged with ease. Chuji focused his chakra to his arms. Byuban Baika no Jutsu. Chuji's arms grew massively disproportionate to his body size, and he brought both hands in a swiping motion, knocking the Zabuza clones back to their original positions where Shikamaru captured them with his clan jutsu that he had extended towards their original positions after throwing the kunai. Kagemain no Jutsu Seiko. By now, Naruto had long disappeared from his teammate's position and Zabuza felt the boy's presence behind him, running along the top of the water with chakra knives activated. Zabuza smirked and used his free hand to swipe at the boy, who brought the knives up into a defensive position much like a boxer would. After dodging several swipes, Naruto brought the 2 knives together and captured the sword in between them. Even though Zabuza was using one hand, Naruto was struggling to keep the blade from cleaving him in half. Naruto started trying to push the blade back before he kicked water up into Zabuza's face, making him shut his eyes out of instinct. The split second was all Naruto needed as he dislodged Zabuza's sword from the deadlock and let gravity do its work. Zabuza was still putting a heavy amount of pressure on the sword, and when he felt the resistance disappear, he stumbled slightly, but not enough to break the prison. Naruto took care of that by reappearing behind Zabuza, giving him a boot to the small of the back. Zabuza stumbled and pulled his hand free of the prison, thereby breaking the jutsu, releasing Kurenai. He looked up at Naruto with a wicked glint in his eyes. You're good kid. To be able to take me on in arm taijutsu, even if I only had one hand free and live without a scratch proves that you're good. No wonder your sensei has faith in you. Naruto smiled lazily at him, distancing himself from Zabuza. Kurenai joined him and they both stared at Zabuza, who stared right back. They both waited for the other to make the first move. Finally, as the splash of water hit the ground that indicated Zabuza's clones had been defeated, the real ones started forming hand seals. Naruto instantly recognized the jutsu as one he had seen Kakashi perform not too long ago. However, he still did not know how to perform it, so he used a separate jutsu. Suetun, Suyuden no Jutsu. Katon, Karya Enden no Jutsu. Kurenai had also performed a genjutsu, making her disappear from the naked eye, leaving the two jutsus to take form and collide. The dragon of water headed straight for the dragon of fire, creating a huge explosion of steam and superheated particles of water. Kurenai had used this time to reappear behind Zabuza with a kunai to his neck. It's over, Zabuza. Checkmate. Zabuza started to relax, knowing he had lost when he felt two saban needles pierce his neck, and he dropped to the ground, or in this case, the surface of the water, and began sinking until a young child with a mask, signifying he was either an Anbu or Hunter Nin, appeared, pulling Zabuza's body out of the water. Indeed, it is checkmate. I have been hunting Zabuza for several months now. He had proven elusive. Thank you for your assistance. Kurenai nodded slowly as the boy put the body over his shoulder. Naruto raised a lazy eyebrow. So, are you going to get rid of the body? I can see it would be hard to do on water, but why not do it over there where my friends are? Naruto motioned over to Chuji, Shikamaru, and Tazuna. The Hunter Nin looked there, and then gave a slight shrug, disappearing. Naruto cursed. The boy had left the area. Great. The boy took Zabuza somewhere else. I get the feeling that he wasn't what he claimed he was. Kurenai nodded as they went back to shore, heading the last part of the way to the main village of the wave. That afternoon, Tazuna had led the group to a house that looked slightly better quality than the rest, which were not exactly what the group would call houses. Tazuna hadn't been kidding when he said this country was poor. He opened the front door and led them in. Tazuna led them into a room that seemed to be a living room, dining room, and kitchen rolled into one. A young woman with long black hair came inside. Dad, are you okay? Tazuna nodded, smiling. I'm fine, Tsunami, thanks to these super guys. They saved me twice on the way here. Tsunami smiled at the three boys and the woman. Thank you. The bridge is our last hope to get out of this poverty. If we lost Dad, that would be the end of it. Kurenai introduced them to Tsunami as she sat them down, making everyone a cup of tea and chatting about the mission. That night, Team 8 and the three occupants of the house were sitting around the table eating dinner. Shikamaru, Chuji, and Naruto were talking about training, as well as some other things. Out of nowhere, the boy who was apparently Tsunami's son slammed his hands on the table, catching everyone's attention. Why do you bother trying so hard? You can't defeat Gato's men. If you go up against him, you'll just die. Naruto just smiled at him. Inari, do you believe in heroes? The three owners of the house looked at Naruto warily, but he continued on. There are two types of heroes in this world: regular heroes and martyrs. Being either type of hero has its advantages and disadvantages. The former has to be smart enough to stay alive, or else they'll become a martyr. However, martyrs usually set an example to the people around them that they are not afraid to die to protect those close to them, and also have a dying wish for those close to him or her. Which type do you think I am? Inari looked at Naruto for a few seconds. Martyr? Naruto shook his head. I can't become a martyr yet. Not until I achieve my dream. Until my dream is achieved, I will live life in a way that will leave me with no regrets. You should do the same. Inari was shocked that Naruto had used the line his father used. However, Inari still wasn't finished. But how would you know what it's like for someone close to you to die? I bet you've lived a sheltered life. Naruto shook his head. For the first 4 years of my life, I had nothing. No one. I was hunted as a monster by mobs of villagers, who took special pleasure in beating me to near death on my birthday. On my 4th birthday, I found someone precious to me. He saved me from the regular mob and even adopted me. From that moment on, I vowed to protect the people important to me with all my strength. Inari, we're the exact opposite in some ways. I started with no family and gained them, while you started with a full family and lost some. Neither of us have had it easy, but we should never judge another by first appearances. Everyone except Kurenai was shocked, speechless. Naruto had lived that kind of a life yet was as happy as he was? Even though Chuji and Shikamaru had gotten an answer they were secretly wondering about, it left them with more questions than answers. Inari slowly stopped crying, looking at Naruto, who was smiling at him. Inari's lips formed the barest hint of a smile as he rubbed the tears from his eyes. Sorry, Naruto. Naruto waved a hand dismissively. No problem. Tazuna and Tsunami were almost floored. Naruto, in the space of a minute, had completely changed Inari's beliefs, and waved off his apology for the outburst like he was used to such things every day. This boy was by no stretch of the imagination ordinary. Naruto got up and bent down and looked Inari in the face. Inari, if you want to stop people precious to you dying, grow strong enough to protect them. Naruto pulled several shuriken, kunai and a coil of ninja wire from his ninja pack and handed them to Inari, who looked at them like it was a godsend. Naruto gave Inari a warning. Be careful how you use them. They can very seriously hurt people. Make sure you get at least a year's practice with them before you even think of bringing them out near people unless it's an absolute emergency. Practice with them in an area where you're sure no people are around, okay? Inari nodded again as Naruto ruffled his hair, standing up and putting his plate in the sink. Do you mind if I excuse myself? I'm feeling rather tired from today's fights. Everyone else in the room was still trying to recover from the revelations of the past several minutes, but Tazuna nodded dumbly. No problem. Naruto left the group to head to the boys' room and strip down to his boxers, before taking a quick shower to get rid of the sweat and grime covering his body. As he walked out of the bathroom with a towel around his waist, he acutely aware of Kurenai just entering her room when she saw Naruto come out. They stared at each other for a moment, not sure what to say or do. Kurenai saw Naruto's well-toned body and began to blush as a few perverted thoughts ran through her mind. Naruto, seeing Kurenai blush, blushed in return. Both of them kept getting redder until Naruto turned and faced the bedroom. Gomenasai, Kurenai-chan. Kurenai shook her head. I should be the one apologizing, Naruto. They both shrugged it off and went into their rooms. Chuji and Shikamaru came in soon after Naruto had changed into his sleepwear. Both boys saw Naruto staring dreamily at the ceiling and knew that look anywhere. It was the same look Naruto had on his face the day after they had passed the genin exam. Both boys ignored it and got changed before getting into their futons and turned out the lights. Next morning, Naruto was the first awake, as he usually was, just before dawn. Naruto got out of bed, dressed, and crept out of the room so as not to wake the others. He stepped outside and jumped onto the roof to watch the unobstructed view of the sun rising. He became aware of Kurenai walking out of the house. She saw him and jumped up next to him, taking a seat. After a minute, Kurenai broke the silence. What you did for Inari yesterday was really kind. Naruto sighed. But it was all true. Kurenai chuckled. That was practically Naruto's standard answer to all praise for his support of others. I know, and that's what made Inari make a change for the better. You're really unusual, Naruto. Not many people could do that sort of thing in under a minute. Naruto smiled at the praise. He leant his head on her shoulder, which she didn't resist, and they watched the sun make its first appearance over the horizon, turning the sky from black to an odd purple, indicating twilight before it slowly turned to red, orange, yellow, and finally blue. By now, the rest of the house was up, so Naruto took his head off her shoulder, blushing a bit before they hopped down, going inside for breakfast. Once everyone was at the table, the mood was much lighter than last night. In fact, Inari was shoveling down his food with gusto usually seen by famished people. After everyone had finished, Tsunami took the plates and began washing up. Kurenai turned to Tazuna. From what I've been able to figure out last night, Zabuza may have been put into just a near-death state. He's not actually dead. Tsunami let a plate drop from her fingers which shattered on the ground while Tazuna let the chopsticks in his hand clatter to the table, while Inari looked at her. Naruto nodded in agreement. The weapon the boy used was questionable. Normally, Saban needles are used in medical acupuncture, and the chances of getting a kill in 2 needles is for all intents and purposes 0. The only way you could achieve something like that is if you trained from a young age using solely needles and had an incredible understanding of the human anatomy. Shikamaru nodded in agreement, adding his own 2 cents. From what I know of how AMBU and Hunter Nines work, once they kill their target, they are required to destroy the body on the spot, taking back something like the head as proof of the kill. Regardless of the fact that Zabuza died on the water, Naruto had told the boy to go to the shore we were on, which was the nearest stable ground, but he disappeared. I'd say he was actually working with Zabuza. Both Naruto and Kurenai nodded in agreement. Tazuna was visibly shaking, but Naruto smiled at him. He was lucky to get away last time. The only thing that saved him was the boy. Now that we know about him, it won't happen again. From an injury like that, he won't be getting out of bed for at least another half a week. Even then, he won't attack us for another few days until he gets his strength back. All the other ninjas in the room nodded to show they agreed with the analysis. Tazuna sighed. Well, at least by that stage, the bridge should just about be complete. They chatted a bit more before Tazuna brought out a list of things that he needed doing. Some things involved getting supplies for the bridge, such as hand tools, screws, bolts, and nuts. Others included buying some groceries for dinner that night. Kurenai took stock of the list and assigned each person duties. Chuji went to get the groceries while Shikamaru went to get the supplies for the bridge. Kurenai opted to guard the bridge, which left Naruto to guard the house. Naruto smiled as he turned to Inari. Well, since I'm here, I can help you practice with the things I gave you. Inari hugged Naruto and ran off to get the kunai, shuriken and wire. Once he had returned, Naruto looked at Tsunami. Tsunami-san, we won't be going far, however. If anything happens, either drop or throw this to the ground, okay? Naruto handed Tsunami a brown ball which she took. What is it, Naruto? It's a flash bomb. I'll see it from a mile off. Remember, whatever you do, close your eyes as you throw it. Otherwise, you'll end up temporarily blinded. Tsunami nodded slowly and put the ball in her dress pocket, and Naruto led Inari out the door to a nearby tree. Making sure no one was around, Naruto began instructing Inari on how to throw each implement, and also a few things he could do with the wire. By the time it was dusk, Inari was amazed at the patience Naruto had with Inari's constant stuff-ups. Naruto stood up and packed away his own gear. Come on, Inari, it's almost dinner time. Inari stood up. Asa. Inari grabbed his weapons and followed Naruto back to the house just in time to see Kurenai and Tazuna returning as well. About a week later. For the next 5 or so days, everything was pretty much the same. On the 5th day, Naruto was waiting for Inari to arrive at the tree when he felt the flash bomb go off. Naruto stiffened and ran to the house to see that Tsunami was being dragged out of the house by 2 thugs while Inari was hurling his kunai and shuriken at them, only half of them hitting them, which both of them expertly blocked with their katanas. Inari, now out of weapons, charged at them blindly, letting out a war cry as he went. Naruto pumped chakra to his feet to increase his speed and just managed to replace Inari with a nearby plank of wood as the thugs sliced the piece of wood to pieces. Both of them were aware of a presence behind them, but neither of them was able to turn around before they were dealt a severe blow to the backs of the neck, knocking them unconscious for quite some time. Naruto looked at Inari, smiling. Inari, thanks to that, I was able to save both you and your mom. I need you to do something. Get the villagers and whatever weapons you can get and come to the bridge. Today, Gato is going down. Inari nodded and saluted Naruto as Naruto brought his hands together in a seal muttering Kai. The weights on his arms and legs expelled their stored chakra, making Naruto able to move much faster. Naruto blurred out of existence and headed towards the bridge as fast as he could. I have to make it in time. Just as Naruto got to the bridge, he saw that the group had just gotten there, the unconscious bodies of the workers scattered over the bridge. The mist started thickening quickly as Zabuza and the boy appeared in front of the group. Naruto waited to see what would happen and plan an ambush. Chuji was quickly delegated to taking care of Tazuna, while Shikamaru tried in vain to match up to Haku's speed. Kurenai went up against Zabuza. On the whole, Haku was faring quite well against Shikamaru while Kurenai was holding her own against Zabuza. Just as the Haku was about to land the killing blow, Naruto blurred in front of Shikamaru and punched Haku in the face, sending the boy at least 20 meters back. Haku got up and looked at Naruto. You are that boy from a week ago. Naruto nodded. I always thought there was something strange about you. Haku pulled out a saban while Naruto pulled out his lovable trench knives. Naruto noticed that he was surrounded by Zabuza clones. Naruto smirked and slashed them all across the chest or stomach in under a second, watching them splatter to the ground. Kurenai smiled. Finally took of your weights, Naruto? Naruto nodded. Yeah. I wouldn't have made it here in time if I hadn't. Zabuza chuckled. Seems like you've got a match for your speed, Haku. Indeed, Zabuza-san. Haku charged forwards, as did Naruto. Trench knife met saban as they tested each other's strength before spinning around, trying to find an opening in the other's defense. Neither of them found one, so they clashed again. And again. Finally, Naruto blocked Haku's saban with one hand. Now that I have one of your hands occupied, I am at an advantage. The first part was the water from the clones littering the ground. This is the second part. Naruto watched in amazement as the boys started doing one-handed seals. The water rose up, forming a dome of water drops, which turned into water saban. They froze and hovered ominously around Naruto. This is it. Haku sent the ice saban into Naruto, making a cloud of fine mortar-like dust cover Naruto and Haku. Tazuna gasped, but Shikamaru, Chuji, and Kurenai smiled. When the dust cleared, Naruto had a knife to Haku's neck. Haku turned around to try and block the knife, but Naruto kicked Haku in the back, sending him sprawling. Zabuza sighed. You know you're going to get beaten like this, Haku. I know, Zabuza-san. Haku got up and looked at Naruto. Naruto felt the air around him drop at least 10 degrees, so he discreetly replaced himself with a Kage Bunshin he had been keeping out of the fight in case something like this happened. The water around the clone began forming panels which promptly froze and formed a barrier of mirrors. Haku melted into one of the mirrors and appeared in all of them. This is my true speed. There is no way you can match this. The clone just sighed, hoping this jutsu would work like it was supposed to. He forced his chakra into his innermost coils and concentrated. He let it all free in an instant, turning the clone into a living bomb. The mirrors shattered and Haku was sent flying. Everyone looked at Naruto in fascination of the jutsu. The real Naruto appeared beside Shikamaru. Kage Bunshin Daibakuha. Kurenai smiled at Naruto, amazed with his progress. Zabuza saw this distraction and held Kurenai around the neck. Naruto looked in horror as Kurenai gasped. He was strangling her. Not a good trade, was it? A pawn for a queen. You lose, brat. Zabuza stabbed Kurenai in the stomach with a kunai and threw her to the side like a piece of trash. Naruto reappeared beside Kurenai, who was breathing sharply and blood poured out of her stomach. She looked at Naruto in pain, sorrow and regret. I'm sorry, Naruto. Don't you can not yet. Kurenai painfully raised a hand to Naruto's face, brushing her hand against it. I'm sorry, Naruto. With that, Kurenai fell limp, as good as dead. Naruto's emotion stopped. He was staring as the last vestiges of life of the one and only woman he would ever love slip away. Zabuza laughed. First death, brat? Get used to it. Naruto lowered his head and hugged Kurenai to him, willing her to come back to life. The body remained motionless as Zabuza turned to the others. Now that she's dead, you lot will die just as easily. Shut up. Zabuza, as well as everyone else, stopped at the voice. They turned back to its source to see blood-red chakra pouring out of Naruto. Zabuza stared at Naruto in a mixture of fascination and horror. You killed her, you bastard. You have no idea how much she meant to me. I'll kill you. Hooray! The chakra exploded off Naruto, making everyone stumble back at the sheer magnitude of it. Even the water of the river sent shockwaves out from Naruto's position above it while the bridge around Naruto began cracking and buckling under him. When Naruto turned to face Zabuza, everyone's blood ran cold. Naruto's eyes were no longer the calm blue they were used to. They were blood red and they screamed bloody murder. Naruto's hair was no longer neat, it had a very feral quality to it. The chakra around Naruto began to form a single helix and then condensed about 10 meters above him, forming the face of a fox. The chakra subsided and Naruto hunched over, tears spilling from his eyes. You think you're a demon? You're just a pathetic piece of trash. Why don't you find out what a true demon can do? Ha! Naruto thrust his fist forward, sending a wave of rock and dust at Zabuza, blinding him before Naruto charged in, and landing a sickening combo to Zabuza's face, chest and stomach, ending with a kick to the chin, which sent him flying back. Zabuza landed in time to see Naruto jump down from on top, slamming into Zabuza's head with both fists, sending Zabuza straight through the bridge and into the water below. Naruto let out a primal roar of anguish, fury and hatred. He jumped off the side of the bridge and proceeded to beat Zabuza to a pulp. Every time Zabuza managed to cast a jutsu to try and keep the boy at bay, Naruto just ran full force into it and blew the jutsu to pieces and kept going as if nothing impeded him. Zabuza quickly realized that this kid was going to kill him, and there wasn't a thing he could do about it. Naruto proceeded to slash and hack Zabuza to pieces before he went in for the killing blow. However, it didn't land, at least, not on its expected target. Haku had jumped in to take the blow for Zabuza from an ice mirror. Naruto's hand went straight through the boy's chest while Haku grabbed Naruto's hand to try and keep him there. Naruto growled in frustration as he ripped his arm out of Haku and threw him to the side, concentrating on his main target. Naruto decided a modified version of the Omote Range would suit the situation just fine. He disappeared and kicked Zabuza by the chin straight up, making him crash through another place in the bridge. When Naruto jumped back up, he saw that Zabuza was dying, and there was no chance to survive. Naruto walked up to him, lifting up the man by the belt that held his sword to his back. A pawn and a king for a queen. In terms of Shugi, we won. However, I'm going to make sure you feel the pain I am. I'm going to break your heart. Naruto reached his fist back and began charging chakra to it before he shoved his hand straight through Zabuza's chest, making the man drop dead in Naruto's arm. Naruto threw Zabuza over the side. Now, with the object of his rage dead, Naruto's real senses started returning. His eyes turned from red to blue, and the red chakra stopped as he fell to his knees and began sobbing. Everyone became aware of some laughing from the incomplete end of the bridge. They turned to see a large group of thugs as well as a fat man with one arm in plaster laughing. I always thought Sabuza was nothing but a kawaii little demon. Seeing your fight with him, I'm convinced of it. Oh well, I was going to kill him after he had done his job anyway. Hiring ninja from villages is too expensive, and they tend to speak out against the type of work I give them, so renegade neens like Sabuza and his pet are perfect. Then, when I'm finished with them, I just let them wear each other out fighting normal ninja while these guys take care of the rest. It's a great. He didn't get to finish the sentence as an arrow lodged itself in his forehead, making him drop to the ground, dead. Naruto turned to see Inari and the entire wave village with all sorts of makeshift weapons. You won't take another step closer to this village. If you hurt another one of our friends, we'll stop you with everything we have. The villagers raised their weapons in the air, giving a roar of approval. The thugs were indecisive now. Naruto decided to tip the scales further in their favor. He had only a little chakra left, as using the Kyuubi's chakra was tiring to say the least. Naruto formed about 30 Kage bunch-shins with the last of his chakra, and the thugs decided it was a good time to take a hike. Most of them scrambled down the net that their boat was connected to, or the more impatient ones just dived off. Naruto dispelled the clones, and he fell to his knees. He then remembered Kurenai and forced himself to go and check on her. Just as he got there, he collapsed. The last of his chakra expended and entered a deep sleep. A few days later, Naruto awoke in a bed inside an unfamiliar place. Naruto tried to get his bearings before he recalled the events of the bridge. He sat bolt upright, his eyes wide with fear. Kurenai-chan. Naruto looked around to see a man looking at him with shock. The man came and checked up on him. Are you alright, Naruto-san? You should have been out for quite a few more days. Naruto ripped the bed covers off and started looking around frantically. Where is she? Naruto, keep it down, this is a hospital. Naruto froze. He pulled the curtain out of the way that separated his bed from the next and saw Kurenai laying there with a mildly irritated look on her face. Not thinking, Naruto lunged and grabbed her into a hug, much to the dismay of the doctor. Kurenai-chan. Kurenai froze and Naruto realized that her stomach was still quite tender, so he got off her, grinning sheepishly, scratching the back of his head. Gomenasai-sensei. Kurenai smiled at Naruto. Don't worry, Naruto. We just don't have your rate of healing. Naruto smiled again as both Shikamaru and Chuji came into the room. Chuji was munching on a bag of chips while Shikamaru made their presence known. What's all this troublesome noise? Definitely no surprises there. The doctor gave Naruto and Kurenai a final checkup before exiting the room. All of them sat around Kurenai's bed, a heavy tension in the air. Finally, Naruto sighed. I guess I owe you guys an explanation. Kurenai raised an eyebrow. Think they can handle the truth, Naruto? Naruto looked at her, then at each of the other two. Naruto decided to make them guess by providing the barest facts. I've told you that my birthday is October 10th, right? They both nodded. I'm the same age as you two are. Chuji nodded again, not understanding where this was going. Shikamaru, on the other hand, had a fairly good idea. Naruto, could you show us your face? Naruto sighed. No going back now. Naruto pulled down the face mask to show the others his 3 whisker marks on each cheek. Shikamaru nodded in understanding. It wouldn't have anything to do with the Kyuubi, would it? Naruto nodded and pulled the mask back up. That's right. On the day I was born, the Kyuubi was defeated. Not killed, defeated. His soul was ripped out of his body, and he was sealed inside a newborn infant. Me. Shikamaru nodded slowly, as did Chuji. Now, the tidbits Naruto had given them on his past all made sense. The orphanage, the beatings, why his birthday was the worst day of the year. Naruto looked at them with eyes full of desperation. Shikamaru sighed. You're so troublesome, Naruto. Naruto saw Shikamaru smiling and Chuji offered him the bag of chips. I don't care if you're the container, you're still the Naruto we've always known. Just remind me not to get you angry, okay? The 4 of them laughed at the joke. This had gone down far better than Naruto could have ever hoped for. As they stopped laughing, Naruto turned serious again. Even though you know, this information is considered an S-rank secret. You two aren't even supposed to know. Not even what my face looks like. They both nodded in understanding, while Shikamaru muttered his signature word troublesome again. Nearly a week later, Kurenai had been cleared from hospital, or the medical shack, in this instance, and they had showed up at the bridge to see that it was now completed. Tazuna and the rest of the villagers were there to see them off. Tazuna smiled at them. You guys were super. Thanks to you, the bridge is now complete, Gato is dead, and we can get our lives back on track. We don't know how we can repay you. Naruto smiled. Just make the wave country into something that won't waste the effort we went through. Naruto looked at Inari, who was trying to hold back the tears. Naruto smiled at him. Inari, just because you said you wouldn't cry anymore doesn't mean you can't cry because you're happy. Remember, a ninja who keeps their emotions suppressed at all times is no longer human. Inari smiled at Naruto. It's okay for you to cry too. Naruto nodded. Yeah. They said their final goodbyes and Team 8 began their trek back to Konoha. One of the people beside Tazuna looked at him. Tazuna-san, we still haven't named the bridge yet. Tazuna smiled. You're right. I think we should call it the Great Naruto Bridge. Naruto changed the heart of Inari, and he changed the hearts of the villagers. Everyone agreed that the name was perfect, and so they went back to rebuilding their lives. Several weeks after the wave, Team 8 had made it back and reported the entire mission in great detail to the Hokage, much to the chagrin of the old man. After the team had been dismissed, the Hokage asked that Naruto remain behind. Naruto did as he was asked. Naruto, now that you've revealed the secret to your teammates, I want you to stick to the law for everyone else. Not until they've reached the rank of Jounin are they permitted to know. Understood? Naruto nodded. Sure thing, old man. The old man sighed as he took a puff of his pipe before telling Naruto the next part of why he detained him here. Naruto, the secret is far too deadly to be let out. Although it pains me to do this, I'm authorizing you to use any force you deem necessary to stop the spread of the rumor. I trust both of your teammates, but with the times ahead, I would not be surprised if word somehow got out. The only thing I can compensate for this is turning this into an ongoing S-rank mission. Naruto nodded slowly. I guess I could take it. The old man spoke to Naruto for a few moments more before dismissing him, asking that he report to the hospital for psychological testing to make sure that his mind was still stable after killing both of his targets on the mission. About a week later, the nurses at the hospital quickly made sure that Naruto was okay, providing a minor medical healing jutsu to help his mind recover before discharging him. Since then, Naruto had been training and trying to constantly improve himself. 6 days after they got back, Kurenai had appeared with 3 slips of paper. Morning, boys. To get straight to the point, I've nominated you 3 for the Chunin exams. Just sign the forms and turn up at room 301 at the academy by 4 p.m. tomorrow. Until then, you're dismissed. Kurenai poofed out of existence while Shikamaru looked over his form. Mendo kusai. Naruto smiled at Shikamaru. Everything's troublesome for you, Shikamaru. Shikamaru sighed. While Chuji opened a packet of chips, sharing them around as they went off to sign the forms and discuss the possibilities of the exam. Next day, 2 p.m. Naruto, Shikamaru, and Chuji were walking towards the academy when they heard a yell, so they went to check it out. When they got there, they saw a pair of Sunanin, a guy and a girl, facing off against 3 academy graduates. The male Sunanin was holding one boy up by the collar, who was trying desperately to get free. The female sighed. If anything happens, I'm not taking the blame. The black-clad ninja smirked and drew his hand back for the punch when he felt 3 people staring at him from behind. He turned around to see 3 Konoha genin staring at him. What do you 3 want? Naruto looked lazily at the boy. We want you to put him down. The boy smirked. Are you going to make me? Shikamaru sighed. Mendo kusai. Naruto shrugged. For once I agree with you, Shikamaru. Kankuro was aware that the blonde-masked kid was no longer with his friends, but directly behind him, holding a very sharp weapon to his throat. The Sunanin and the 3 academy students hadn't even seen the boy move. Put him down. Now. Kankuro dropped the kid, who fell on his butt. Kankuro was unfastening the straps of the object on his back when Naruto became aware of a very disturbing aura very close by. Kankuro, stop. You're a disgrace to our village. But Gaara, they started it. I don't care. Shut up or I'll kill you. Both the black-clad boy and the girl seemed to flinch at this, while the redhead turned to Naruto. I apologize for his actions. Naruto dismissed it. No problem. Only a few egos were bruised, nothing too bad. Gaara's eyes narrowed at Naruto. I'm interested in you. Who are you? Naruto looked at the boy. Uzumaki Naruto. And you are? Sabaka no Gaara. Naruto nodded. I see. I look forward to seeing you in the Chunin exams, Gaara. As do I, Uzumaki Naruto. Gaara used Shushin to disappear, leaving the rest of them to clean up. Naruto turned to the boy who Kankuro had been about to knock out. You alright? The boy nodded slowly. Well, I'll catch you around. By the way, I don't think I've seen you before. What's your name? The boy's eyes lightened up. Konohamaru. Naruto smiled at the boy. Nice to meet you, Konohamaru. Unfortunately, I can't stay for too long. I have to go and take the Chunin exams with my friends. Konohamaru nodded and got back up, staring in awe at the first person who had ever called him by his name except his grandfather. Naruto turned to the two Sunanin. Could I get your names? The boy nodded. Kankuro. The girl flushed slightly as she answered. Temari. Naruto nodded to each of them. Well, Kankuro-san, Temari-san. Good luck in the exam. Chuji and Shikamaru caught up with Naruto as they got the academy, waiting for the doors to open. Team 8 took this time to survey the potential opponents. They quickly dismissed the ones who bragged about themselves to their teams and others and instead paid attention to the teams either talking quietly amongst themselves or who said nothing at all. Finally, the doors were opened and the teams made their way inside. After walking up 2 flights of stairs, they needed to change to another stairwell to get up to the final floor. However, Naruto's genjutsu senses were tingling as he saw what it was. 2 people under rather decent henges for the genin they were posing as were guarding a door that was apparently 301, but Naruto could tell, not just by the shoddy genjutsu around it, but from the fact they had only gone up 2 flights of stairs. The genin tried to go past the pair, only to be shoved back by the genin. Naruto realized what was happening immediately. They were trying to weed out the truly weak ones from even taking the first test. Naruto was fine by that as he kept his team walking. However, one particular Uchiha happened to do something fairly stupid. It's nice to see you're guarding, but aren't you guarding the wrong room? This is only the 2nd level, not the 3rd. Drop the genjutsu. People started murmuring amongst themselves as Naruto slapped his forehead. Naruto could feel the genjutsu being undone, and after a small fight between the genin guarding the door and Sasuke, which Lee put an end to, Naruto turned back to the others. Naruto called out lazily to Sasuke. Sasuke, you do realize what that genjutsu was meant to do, right? All eyes turned to the boy. Yeah. It was meant to stop us from getting to 301. Naruto nodded. Exactly. If you had noticed it, why didn't you just lead your team past it and keep going? We could have gotten rid of all of these guys here before the first test, cutting a huge portion of the examiners off before we have to begin the test. Sasuke hated to admit it, but Naruto's logic was impeccable, as always. Lee's eyes caught fire as he rushed up to his rival. Naruto-kun, your fires of youth are burning as bright as ever. You are indeed my eternal rival. Naruto smiled, translating it for himself as you're looking well. Hey Lee. How's Guy-sensei? Lee did a nice guy pose to help illustrate his point. Guy-sensei's springtime of youth is an example to us all. Naruto translated this in his own mind to he's great. After a bit more friendly banter, Tenten and Niji walked up. Hi Tenten. Niji. Both of them greeted him in their usual manner, Tenten smiling and Niji giving a nod in his direction. Both teams walked down the corridor together, followed by Team 7, up the stairwell and down the final corridor to the real 301. Once they pushed open the doors, they were acutely aware of the entire room with their gaze on them. Team Guy ignored the gazes, taking a free seat. Team 8 just stood there, sizing up the people in the room. The doors burst open and Team 7 came in, Ino and Sakura having one of their all too frequent arguments again, but they stopped when they felt the atmosphere of the room. Naruto smiled at them. Glad to see you made it as well. They all nodded and they turned as Kiba rather loudly introduced the presence of his team coming through the door. Naruto. Chuji. Shikamaru. It's been a while since I've seen you 3. Naruto smiled at Kiba. Hey Kiba. Shino. Hinata. The 3 nodded in Naruto's direction. Naruto looked at Akamaru. How's Akamaru, Kiba? The dog gave a happy bark. Great. Naruto pulled out a piece of dried meat and flipped it at Akamaru, who caught it expertly in his mouth. Kiba smiled at Naruto when Naruto felt someone coming up to them on the right. Why don't you lot grasp the atmosphere? Screaming like a bunch of schoolgirls, geez. Naruto looked at the silver-haired bespectacled guy lazily. We already did. Is it a crime to catch up with old friends? The boy smiled at him. Not really, but there's a better time to do it. Anyway, there are a lot of powerful people here, many of who have taken the exam before. I've taken the exam before as well. Naruto looked at the man. How many times? 7. Naruto nodded. You seem to have a purpose for coming here apart from the whole grasp the atmosphere thing. The boy nodded. How about I give some tips to my cute underclassmen? Kabuto reached into his ninja pouch and took out a deck of cards. I've collected information on a lot of the exam's entrants and burnt the information onto these cards with my chakra. Kabuto pulled the top one off, but it was blank. Sakura, being the smart one, pointed out the obvious. Kabuto-san, how could those have information on them? They're blank. Naruto shook his head. A genjutsu of fuinjutsu of some kind. Kabuto nodded in agreement. He put his finger to the card and began swiveling it around before a small puff of smoke covered the card. Once it cleared, the card was no longer blank. In fact, it had a map of the world overlaid with a three-dimensional bar graph. Almost everyone looked at the card in wonder as Kabuto explained. This shows the number of participants each country has sent. I have information on all of the people attending this exam. The only unfortunate thing is that I have practically no information on the 3 from the Hidden Sound. This is the first team they've sent to an exam, so I haven't had the chance to find out much about them. Sasuke saw his chance. Can you show us some? Kabuto looked at him. Any in particular? 3. Rock Lee, Sabaku no Gaara and Uzumaki Naruto. Kabuto put the first card away and picked the deck up. This will be easy since you know their names. Kabuto swiped the deck, pulling out 3 cards. He fanned them out and began channeling chakra into one of them. First, Uzumaki. Naruto ripped the card out from under him as soon as the chakra revealed the information. Naruto began scanning it. He couldn't risk the secret getting out, so he ripped through it, finding the information to be startlingly accurate. He even found it in there. He smiled. You're good. The fact that a certain something is in here proves you're either very nosy with friends in high places, or you're not a genin. Naruto shoved some chakra into the card and deleted the offending passage, handing the card back. Sasuke smirked. Scared of us finding out something, Naruto? Naruto smiled lazily. However, his insiders were in total turmoil. Not for me, but for you. I have authorization to use whatever force I deem necessary to stop that piece of information getting out by the Hokage himself. Normally, the offending person would be put to death immediately. This caught everyone's attention. Naruto smiled as he looked at Kabuto. Read the card. Kabuto went back to reading the card. Uzumaki Naruto, Taicho of Team 8 of the Konoha Rookies. His teammates are Naro Shikamaru and Akimichi Chuji. Their Jounin sensei is Yuhi Kurinai. He graduated from the academy earlier this year with a perfect record, earning him the title of Rookie of the Year. His ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu and arm taijutsu abilities are off the charts, making him high Chunin level to low Jounin level. It's rumored that he also has a knack for fuinjutsu, making him the first academy graduate in 14 years to have learned how to make his own seal scrolls and explosive notes, before he even left the academy. His family or clan abilities are a complete mystery, due to the severe shortage of knowledge of his blood family. He has also invented his own taijutsu style, called the Kajiken. Out of all the examinees here, Naruto's ninjutsu, genjutsu and arm taijutsu abilities are unmatched by anyone, but his regular taijutsu is about equal to Rock Lee's of Konoha. Missions completed include 8D class, 1 C class, which was apparently a disguised upper A rank mission, and even an ongoing S class. It seems that apart from chakra exhaustion on the C rank mission, Naruto has come back from all his missions completely unscathed. Naruto smiled at him. The fact that only myself and my Jounin senseis know the full extent of my abilities makes me wonder exactly who you are. By now, the majority of the room were quaking in their boots at this boy. Even with his abilities, coming back from an A-rank mission completely unharmed, suffering from only chakra exhaustion. This kid was scary. Kabuto put the card away and activated another card. This was Rock Lee. Rock Lee. Member of Team Guy. He's 1 year older than all of you. Teammates are Hyuga Niji and Tenten. Their Jounin sensei is Meito Guy. Rock Lee's ninjutsu and genjutsu abilities are non-existent, as are his family or clan jutsus, but his taijutsu, both long range and short, are about equal to Uzumaki Naruto's. Mission dossier records show he has completed 20 D rank and 12 C rank missions. Kabuto felt a kunai pressing against his neck. It was held by the hand of Naruto. No one in the room had seen him move. I knew it. Apart from his team and me, no one has that much detailed information on Lee. Only 4 people apart from myself know the full extent of my abilities. All of them have been my senseis for the past 7 years and who I am close friends with. You're not a genin. Your chakra capacity is far too massive for you to even be a chunin. The fact that you knew about a certain something gives me permission to slit your throat here and now. Naruto looked to the front of the room in time to see an explosion of smoke and a booming voice reach the genin. Uzumaki, what the hell do you think you're doing? Naruto smiled lazily at Ibiki. Just doing a mission, Ibiki-san. Ibiki scowled at Naruto. You can complete the mission later. This is as good a time as any to say this, so let me make one thing clear. There will be fighting in this exam, however, you will not engage another person unless given express permission by an examiner. Even then, killing unless also permitted is forbidden. Pigs who go against my rule will be failed immediately, understood? Now the genin had completely forgotten about Naruto and were completely transfixed by the man in front of them. Ibiki held up a tab with the number 1 on it. All of you will approach the examiners with your 3 application forms. Once your genin cell has been marked off, take 1 number from this box. That number is the seat you will use during this part of the exam. Once you are all seated, we will begin handing out the papers. Everyone handed in their application forms, got a number tab and was assigned a seat. Once everyone was seated, the examiners began placing the tests face down on the desk. Once that had been done, Ibiki started tapping the piece of chalk against the board. I will now explain the rules of this test. Listen carefully, as I'm not going to repeat it, and I will not answer questions. Rule 1. Each of you will start with 10 points. This test works via a subtraction method of marking. For example, if you answer 1 question wrong, you get a single point deducted. 5 questions wrong and you lose half your points. Rule 2. The overall pass/fail is determined not by your individual scores, but by the combined score of your team. Rule 3. If you are found to be conducting any suspicious activity that could be associated with cheating, you will have 2 points deducted. Meaning, even if you get all the answers right, but get caught 5 times, you fail. This isn't so much a rule as the result of what will happen should someone fail. Until the third part of the exam, everything relies on teamwork. If one of you fails, so does the other 2 members of your team. This test will be done in the space of an hour. At the 45-minute mark, I will give you the 10th question, regardless of whether or not you have completed the rest of them. Now, begin. No one failed to hesitate with the order and turn the pages over. Naruto smirked. Why did this situation seem so familiar? Probably from the graduation written test. These questions were much harder to answer than your average genin should be able to answer. Naruto sighed. The purpose of this test was to cheat. Since he didn't have much to cheat with, he decided to use his own head to write the answers. Naruto was aware of 3 other people writing with him, namely 2 nobodies and Harino Sakura, which was quickly joined by 3 more, both Hyugas and Sasuke, who had their bloodline limits engaged. After Naruto answered the first 9 questions, he sat back. Naruto felt the familiar chakra of Shikamaru reaching out with his cage mane and take hold of Chuji, writing the answers to the test on his paper. After a while, Naruto saw one of the examiners throw a kunai straight past his head, which he leant out of the way of and heard a thunk behind him. Naruto looked around to see that the kunai had pierced the exam paper of the genin behind him. The boy stood up. What's the meaning of this? The examiner smirked. I've caught you cheating 5 times. You fail. Get your teammates and get out. 2 other genins, none too happy with their teammate, got up and left along with the one that had caused them to fail. Straight away, another examiner spoke. Number 23 fail. Numbers 43 and 27 fail. The 3 got up. After that, a steady stream of genin were caught and left the room. By the time the announcement of the 10th question came around, the overall number had been reduced to just over 100. Ibiki strode to the front of the room and turned to face the genin. Now, it's time for the 10th question. However, before I give it to you, I need to know whether you will even take it. The genin started murmuring as Ibiki continued with the explanation. If you chose not to take it, you and your teammates will be failed immediately. However, if you do decide to take it and get it wrong, you will have the privilege of taking this exam stripped permanently. Everyone started crying out in disbelief. Kiba was the loudest. What kind of a stupid rule is that? There are people here who've taken this exam before. Ibiki laughed heartlessly. That's true, however, when they took this exam, I wasn't the examiner. Seems you lot are out of luck. However, the rules have been stated. Will you, or will you not take it? If you are uncertain as to your abilities, you should quit now and try again next time. Raise your hand if you don't want to suffer the consequences. For a moment, no one did anything. However, the man next to Naruto raised his hand. I won't take it. An examiner marked off him and his 2 teammates as they left the room. This set off a chain reaction. At least 5 more people raised their hand and they were marked off along with their teammates. Finally, there were 78 people left in the room. 80 if you included the plants as they were called. Ibiki looked around the room. Will anyone else give up? This decision will change your life. People in Naruto's general vicinity became aware of his chuckling, which turned into full-blown laughter. Everyone stared at Naruto in disbelief. Naruto looked at Ibiki, smirking. I don't know about the others in this room, but your act isn't scaring me. I have absolute confidence in myself and both of my teammates that we will answer this question perfectly. There are no weak soldiers under a valiant commander. Get on with the question. Ibiki sighed. Naruto had blown the fear and uncertainty of every single genin in the room away and laughed at him to boot. Ibiki looked around and confirmed what he had thought and felt. Ibiki tried one last time. This is your final chance. Will any of you give up? Naruto smiled at him. We're not afraid. It was clear that no one was going to budge until they had passed the exam, so Ibiki sighed. Then, for the first test of the Chunin exams, you all pass. Every one of the genins except Naruto stopped and tried to work out exactly what he had meant. Naruto smiled and shook his head. I was kind of expecting something like this from you, Ibiki-san. Let me guess, the take or not take was the 10th question. Ibiki smiled at Naruto. Exactly. The 10th question was the choice of taking a life-altering decision or not. The first 9 questions severed the purpose of testing your information-gathering abilities. I'm sure there were some of you who could work out the answers for yourselves, but the majority of you would have realized straight away that this was not your average paper test and came to the conclusion I have to cheat to pass. Most of you would have also realized there is 80 people left in the room, which would imply that there's something wrong. We had 2 Chunin planted in the room to be the sources of the answers for your cheating attempts. Those of you who cheated like amateurs were weeded out. They won't survive the next stage of the exam with that kind of effort. Now, the 10th question. Once we had separated the wheat from the chaff, I put you in a hopeless situation. Take or not take. Either choice had dire consequences. Not take it and fail immediately. Take it and get it wrong, and never take it again. Let's put this into a real-life situation. Let's go with the scenario that all of you become Chunin. A Chunin is a squad leader who is responsible for handling the mission and his team's lives. You arrive at the mission center along with your squad and receive a mission. You are to infiltrate an enemy facility and steal a scroll. The number of ninja, their state of preparedness, armaments, jutsus, and skill are unknown. Can you just decline the mission, because the content of the mission is unknown, enchaining today's certainty with tomorrow's uncertainty? The answer is no. As a Chunin, there will be missions you will not have a choice in. Information can be more important than a Kage's life in some situations. What if that scroll contained information about another village planning to invade your own? If you obtain the information carelessly, it is likely that the enemy will feed you false information that could cost many people their lives. People who do not have the resolve to go through with missions are pigs who don't deserve the right to become Chunin. There are no weak soldiers under a valiant commander. Naruto had joined Ibiki with the last line to emphasize his previous point. Ibiki smiled at Naruto. Congratulations to every one of you. I wish you the best of luck. Both Ibiki and Naruto became aware of a dark ball just before it came crashing through the window. The black ball unfurled itself to reveal a woman in a beige trench coat, purple hair, fishnet shirt and metal leg plates. She introduced herself in a rather loud manner. There's no time to celebrate. I'm the second examiner, Mitarashi Anko. Follow me, everyone. The majority of people in the room's sweat dropped as Naruto smiled. Hi there, Anko-san. Haven't seen you in a while. Anko looked at Naruto, smiling in that sadistic fashion we all love to hate. Well, if it isn't little Naruto. I'm really not surprised that there's 78 people left with you in here. Another one of your speeches? Naruto tilted his head to the side as he continued smiling. Ibiki came around the side of the banner that Anko had erected, looking slightly peeved. Can't you grasp the atmosphere, Anko? Anko smiled sheepishly before turning back to the genin. Despite the fact that there's so many of you left, by the end of the next exam, there will be less than half of you remaining. Report to Training Area 44 at 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow morning. Until then, you are dismissed. The remaining genin teams got up and left, preparing for whatever might come with the next test. Naruto led his team to his house, in the hope of some tidbits of info from his Aniki. Ibiki started collecting the papers. When he got to Naruto's, he saw that, not surprisingly, the entire test was answered. However, seeing a note at the bottom, he checked it. Ibiki-san. The mission I was about to complete involved the Sandame's law, which was about to be breached by that boy. Watch him carefully. He's not who he says he is. UN. Ibiki scowled at this. He was definitely going to be checking the boy out. He'd already had his suspicions from past exams, but having them backed up by Naruto just proved it. This boy was going to be watched very carefully. Naruto's apartment. When Naruto arrived home, Kakashi was there, reading one of his favorite orange books. Naruto didn't recognize this one. New book in the series, Nizan? Kakashi looked up. Yeah. Naruto shook his head as he led his team inside. Kakashi snapped the book shut and put it on the armrest of the seat he was in. Kakashi chuckled. News of your antics in the first part of the exam. Travel fast, Naruto. I suppose you want some hints for the second one? Naruto nodded. Well, the first is always a written, the second is always a field test, and the last is always a tournament. The second test has the most variation out of all of the tests. However, since it's in Training Area 44, I have a feeling it's a several-day mission. Chuji looked horrified while Shikamaru sighed. Mendokusai. What are we supposed to do for food? Naruto got an idea. He looked to Kakashi. Nizan, can I have some summoning scrolls? Kakashi smiled lazily. Sure. 2 each. Those things aren't exactly cheap, you know. Naruto smiled back at Kakashi, mirroring his lazy smile. Thanks, Nizan. Naruto led his team to the supply closet, which was packed with all sorts of ninja goodies. Weapons, explosive notes, scrolls, the lot. Naruto went to a particular shelf and skimmed along some scrolls until he found a group of navy blue scrolls. Pulling them out, he placed them on the ground and closed the door with his foot. Naruto opened one particular scroll and showed them it. This is a multiple summon scroll. Basically, with this you're able to summon just about anything excluding animals that require a contract to summon, and a few other things. Some versions of them can even summon people. However, once it's summoned, that part of the scroll cannot be reused. For example, if you brought a basket of food, Chuji, I could perform a jutsu that would seal it inside one of these circles, and when you wanted to, you could make the basket of food pop straight back into existence in front of you. Chuji looked at the scroll like it was a gift from Kami himself. Chuji could certainly use something like one of these on long missions. Naruto looked up at both of them. I want both of you to go to your places and get anything and everything you think you'll need for a week-long mission. Meet back here and I'll do the sealing. Both boys nodded and headed out the door to get their things. Naruto was suddenly struck by an idea. He went back to the closet and pulled out a black special summoning scroll that was used to hold a mass of weapons, and procured his wind-powered trench knives. Naruto knew that while weapons were sealed, they were essentially maintained in stasis until brought back to the real world. Also, if he could create Kage Bunshins of his blades, they should also be kept in stasis without him having to worry about them. He had learned Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu several months ago. The next part of his theory was that since making any kind Bunshin relied on creating a copy of the original, and since Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu allowed the user to create clones of another object, it should be theoretically possible to do the same for any object. However, Shuriken were an obvious first target, since they were small and perfectly symmetrical. Creating Kage Bunshins of other weapons such as kunai and whatnot should prove only slightly harder. Naruto practiced making a single Kage Bunshin of a kunai and found that the theory was just as easily done as said. Naruto moved on to his special knives and focused an insane amount of chakra, creating about 64 shadow clones of the left-handed knife. Kakashi came into the room at this chakra spike and saw Naruto surrounded by knives. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. Do I want to know what's going on? Naruto carefully pushed his way out of the stack so as not to cut himself and got the scroll. He smiled lazily at Kakashi. Well, I had an idea for a new jutsu. Kakashi looked at the knives. A variant of Kage Shuriken? Naruto shrugged. That's the first part of it. Kakashi looked at Naruto in interest. First part? Naruto nodded and explained his reasoning. Objects that are sealed are kept in stasis. I theorized that if I created a huge number of weapon clones and sealed them, they would stay there without any effort from me and I could summon them at will. Kakashi saw the logic in this. Sure, a number of people had probably given the idea a passing thought, but Naruto had just in the space of 3 minutes brought it into reality. Considering Naruto's talent for Kage Bunshins and Fuin Jutsus, it really actually wasn't that surprising he had made it. Naruto went back to sealing other objects into his other 2 scrolls like food, water, a medical kit, and several other things. After about 15 minutes, there was a knock at the door, and when Kakashi answered the door, Shikamaru and Chuji came in with an assortment of different things. Chuji naturally had brought what most people would consider a lifetime supply of snack foods. After Naruto led them to his room, he showed them how the process was done. He even allowed both boys to have a go. Neither of them managed it though, but Naruto smiled at them. Don't worry. It took me 3 months to learn how to do it without stuffing up. After everything had been sealed, Naruto handed the scrolls to the 2 boys. The 3 of them discussed possible plans for the second test until well after dark. After the boys left, Naruto got to bed and went to sleep. Next morning, Training Area 44. Teammate had made it to the area with 5 minutes left to spare, as was their custom. Enko waited another 5 minutes before she saw that every team had made it on time and began her explanation with a snicker. Now you will experience why this place is called the Forest of Death. Naruto came back to attention and stared at her lazily. What was that, sorry? People snickered and Enko smiled, hiding her true intentions. She pushed a kunai into her hand and hurled it at Naruto, who took it smack in the forehead, much to the chagrin of the others. However, Naruto poofed out of existence, and the real Naruto appeared behind Enko. Did the clone really deserve a kunai to the head? He was just theorizing about the possibilities of a new jutsu. Shikamaru slapped his hand to his forehead. Mendo kusai. Chuji smiled while the others stared wide-eyed at Naruto. Enko smiled. Not bad, Naruto. Naruto smiled and reappeared beside his 2 teammates. Enko reached into her coat and pulled out a stack of papers. Naruto looked at them. Consent forms? So we are allowed to kill in this test? Enko smiled and nodded. Everyone decided it would probably be a good idea to stay out of Naruto's way. There will be deaths in this test, guaranteed. I need you to sign these so I don't get the blame for your deaths. I hate paperwork, especially the ones for a death I'm responsible for. Enko passed the stack of forms to Naruto, who took one and passed it on. I will now begin the explanation for the second test of the Chunin exams. To sum it up, you will all go through an extreme survival match. First, I will explain the area's geographical features. Enko unrolled a scroll that had a map of the training area on it. The area is roughly 20 kilometers in diameter with 44 entrance gates spaced evenly around the side. The entire area consists of a thick forest. There is a river running roughly north to south with a tower at the center. The tower is about 10 kilometers from any gate. Once you are inside, you will be required to complete a mission. The mission directive is this: you will do anything necessary to fight for these scrolls. Enko pulled out a pair of scrolls. One scroll was white and marked with the heaven kanji, while the blue one was marked with the earth kanji. Enko continued explaining. There are several rules to this test. Rule 1. To successfully progress to the final test, you must obtain 1 heaven and 1 earth scroll and make it to the tower within the time limit. Rule 2. If you complete the first rule, but produce a missing or unrecoverable teammate, you fail. Rule 3. You are not allowed to open these scrolls until you have entered the tower. Rule 4. Once the test has begun, you will not be allowed to leave the forest until the end of the test. Rule 5. The time limit is 120 hours, or 5 days. Ino smirked at Chuji. Worried about food? Chuji smirked back at her. No. I have more than enough food to last me 7 days. Everyone who knew Chuji's eating habits that were not on his team looked at him dubiously. A week of food for Chuji consisted of junk food that most people would eat over the space of 5 or so years. There was no bulging pack of food. In fact, Chuji had a single bag of chips in his hand and that was it, from what they could see. Enko restarted with her explanation. Once you and your team have signed the forms, you will hand 3 forms in for a single one of these scrolls, which will be chosen at random at that stand there. She pointed to a stand where 3 examiners were sitting. Anko looked back at them. You have 15 minutes to sign the forms. Once those 15 minutes is up, you will be assigned to a gate with your team, and you will have a final 10 minutes to plan your strategies before the exam will commence. As a final piece of advice, don't die. 25 minutes later. Team 8 had signed the forms and handed them in as soon as they were allowed. They received the Earth Scroll and were directed to gate number 8. After a final 10 minutes of strategizing, the gates were open and they charged in, hoping to get this over and done with. Naruto extended his senses and tried to detect chakra signatures. He found a non-familiar group not too far away and Naruto made a hand signal in the target team's direction. They changed course and jumped up into the trees, making a beeline for the team. Once they were about 50 meters away, Naruto saw that they were a team from Suna. Luckily, it was not Gaara's team. The team seemed to be arguing over something and they pulled out their scroll, which was luckily the Heaven Scroll. Naruto had an idea as he pulled out a spare scroll and used a very discreet Kawarimi no Jutsu to replace the scroll they were stupidly waving about with a very similar scroll, and they made their way towards the tower with the Suna team none the wiser. At the command center in the tower. Anko had just gotten to the tower in the 3 hours since the exam started when an examiner rushed out the door to greet her. Anko-san. A team has already passed. Anko looked at the man skeptically. The previous record was around 5 hours. Yet he was claiming that a team had finished in fewer than 3? The man saw the look and explained. It was Team 8 of Konoha, Anko-san. Team captain was Uzumaki Naruto. They're just entering the tower now. Anko sighed. She should have guessed. She walked into the control hub of the tower and saw from the security camera in the room that indeed, Uzumaki Naruto and Team 8 were just entering the tower, completely unscathed. With Team 8, Naruto pushed open the door and broke the paper seal holding it shut. They walked into the room and saw a quote written on the wall. Naruto recognized it vaguely as a quote from one of the Hokages. Looking at the scrolls, he gave one to Shikamaru and they both opened them, revealing summoning scrolls. Naruto saw the main symbol on the scrolls form a lump and smoke began emitting from it like a miniature volcano. Naruto nodded at Shikamaru and they threw them to the floor where a cloud of smoke appeared. Naruto smiled as he felt the familiar chakra signature. It's been a while, Iruka-sensei. The smoke cleared to indeed reveal it was Iruka. Iruka looked rather startled to be summoned so early, and even more startled to see that Team 8 was completely unscratched. Hey Naruto. It's good to see that you guys made it. You've smashed the previous record by several hours. I doubted Kurenai when she accepted the mission to the wave, but now I can see why. Naruto, you make an excellent commander. I have little doubt that you will become Chunin. Naruto smiled as he looked up at the wall. Iruka-sensei, I remember that quote from somewhere, but it's broken. Iruka smiled. That was my other mission. Each team that passes will be greeted by a Chunin, congratulated, and then told the meaning of the quote. Read it. It's the quote Sandaime-sama thought you should keep in mind for this exam and as a Chunin. The heaven in this quote indicates the head of a person. The earth indicates the body. If you do not posses heaven, gain knowledge and be prepared. If you do not posses earth, run through the fields and seek strength. For example, let's say Chuji's weakness was his brain, he should study every day. Chuji smiled sheepishly and chuckled at the good-natured joke. If Shikamaru's weakness was his body, he should train himself every day. Shikamaru sighed. Mendokusai. And if you possess both qualities like Naruto, dangerous missions will become safe ones, possibly even easy. Naruto smiled lazily at the compliment. Iruka held up a finger and closed his eyes. A Chunin is a commander-class ninja who is responsible for his teammates' lives and successful completion of the mission. Remember this principle and go forward. I'm proud of you 3. Congratulations. Naruto smiled as they chatted for a bit longer before Iruka puffed out of existence, leaving Team 8 to explore the tower. They found a room not far away that had 3 futons as well as some other things. They left it and proceeded to the central part of the tower, finding a wide open space with a giant statue of a pair of arms and hands that were forming the ram seal. Naruto decided to sit down here and work on some things for the upcoming 3rd exam, while Chuji and Shikamaru sat down next to him. Chuji pulled out his food scroll and used a bit of chakra to pull a large shopping bag full of packets of chips out. He opened one packet and began eating, sharing chips with both Naruto and Shikamaru. Naruto pulled out his own scroll that held the mass number of trench knives to see that they were still firmly held in stasis. An hour of chatting and eating later, Naruto became aware of 3 chakra signatures at the entrance of the room. Naruto turned to see Gaara's team, completely unscathed. Naruto raised a hand lazily in greeting. Yo. Good to see you made it. Gaara nodded and led his team out, going somewhere else in the tower. Naruto looked at the scroll that had his trench knife sealed into it, and decided to try and replicate it. Opening his utilities scroll, Naruto pulled another green-colored scroll out of the scroll as well as a calligraphy brush and a bottle of ink. Naruto looked carefully at the real scroll and began painting it to make a mirror copy. Both Shikamaru and Chuji looked on in interest as about 15 minutes later, Naruto finished, admiring his handiwork. Naruto pulled out his real trench knives from their hidden location in his sleeves and formed a ram seal, focusing a huge amount of chakra before there was a huge puff of smoke and Chuji and Shikamaru's eyes widened in disbelief. Naruto had made 64 copies of the right-hand knife. They both reached out and touched them to see that they were all indeed real. Naruto looked at them and picked up one of the knives before doing 2 hand seals to seal the weapon clone inside the scroll. About 10 minutes later, Naruto sealed the last one inside the scroll and rolled it back up, tying it up with string. Naruto noticed a look on their faces and smiled. It's a new jutsu I invented. I knew that while something is sealed, it is essentially in stasis. I know how to perform the Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, and creating the knives is only slightly more difficult than Shuriken. I put 2 and 2 together, and tried sealing the weapon clones inside the scroll for later use. I don't need to maintain concentration to keep them active until I resummon them. Chuji and Shikamaru nodded slowly. Naruto put a finger to his chin in a pose that they recognized as thoughtfulness. I still haven't made a name for this jutsu yet. After throwing some names around, they decided to leave it for later, and they got back to practicing, eating and studying. End of the 5th day. The other teams that had arrived had trickled in, and every one of the Konoha rookie teams had made it. The team from Oto had as well. There was also Kabuto's team. No surprises there. At the end of the time limit, they were assembled in the main hall. All of the Jounin instructors from the Konoha teams except Kabuto's team, as well as all of the main examiners for the 3 tests and the Hokage were present. Anko looked at them. Alright, line up in your teams, we have an announcement to make. First of all, congratulations on passing the 2nd test. We will now have an explanation on the 3rd exam from Hokage-sama. Everyone listen well. The Hokage stepped forward, cleared his throat and began. The 3rd exam will begin, however, before that, there is something that I want to make clear to all of you. Several people in the room knew what was coming next. Kabuto's team were some of them. Naruto had a fair idea, but he kept his mouth shut. It's about the true purpose of the exam. Why we do a joint exam with the allied nations. Naruto knew exactly where this was going now. To maintain good relations with the allied nations and to heighten the level of the ninja. Do not let those reasons deceive you. This exam, so to speak, is really just a replacement for war. A lot of the genin gasped. Tenten asked the question nearly everyone wanted to. What do you mean? If we go back into the pages of history, the current allied nations now were in fact bitter enemies, fighting for the right to rule. To avoid the massive waste of military power that is the result of war, they agreed to localize the fighting to one area. This was the beginning of the Chunin selection exams. Ino still didn't understand. What? So this isn't for Chunin promotions? This exam is indeed examine those who are worthy of the Chunin title. But on the other hand, it is also a place where ninja fight and carry their country's dignity. In the 3rd exam, feudal lords and famous people from varying countries who may be potential clients are invited here as guests. Feudal lords from countries with hidden villages and ninja leaders will see your battles. If there is a significant difference in power, the strong country will be flooded with jobs. If a country is seen as weak, their jobs will decrease, and at the same time, countries are able to show how their village has grown and possess excellent military power to the adjacent countries. In other words, they can put foreign pressure on them. Kiba obviously still didn't get it, and proved it by questioning the Hokage further. So why do we have to fight with the risk of losing our lives? Naruto looked lazily at Kiba before turning back to the old man. He answered him. A county's power is the village's power. The village's power is the shinobi's power, and a shinobi's true power is only manifested in life or death situations. How true that is. He tuned back into the Hokage's speech. This exam is also a place to show off the ninja power of one's country. Since this is an exam where you fight with your lives on the line, it has a meaning, and your predecessors have fought and dreamed of being in the Chunin exam because of it. Apparently, no one had any more questions. However, Gaara was obviously impatient. I don't care. Tell us the details of this life or death exam. The Hokage nodded. Then I will begin explaining the details of the 3rd test, but The Hokage was interrupted by a Jounin who appeared in front of him. Excuse me, Hokage-sama. I, Geke Hate, the judge, will explain. Please do. Hate slowly stood up, not turning to face them. It's nice to meet you, everyone. Before the third test, there's something I want you to do. Fight in some preliminary matches to see who gets to progress to the main matches. Most of the genin started murmuring to each other. Sakura wanted a further explanation. Sensei, I don't understand. Why can't we just progress to the main matches with the remaining examinees? Hate coughed again, and looked over them. It may have been that the exams were too easy